Hey guys, I'm so sorry I'm late. Got a little held up. Time got away from me. Hey Miss Independent, good to see you. So we're gonna be seeing our favorite psychic, Greg Hamilton, also known as Coffee with Greg, because now I guess he wants to discuss Atlantis. Was Atlantis ever real? Which I mean, I'm from the academic side of things, so I would honestly probably say no, because that place is mostly just created through Greek mythology and spiritualism. But hey, you know what? I'm not an omnipotent. I could be wrong. So let's see what Greg has to tell us today. Yeah, I know. I knew that was coming. Hey, Francisca. I knew that was coming, Miss Independent. I totally deserve it. I know I'm late. Alrighty, here we go.
Another edition of Coffee with Craig. My name's Craig Hamilton Parker. I'm a psychic medium, and I give you some of my thoughts, my insights into the things that are happening in the world. And also, not only do I look into the future, I look into the past.
Oh, you look into the future that you previously said was changeable by someone's actions, and also that they were written by leaves that change every 200 years. Yeah, you sure do, buddy. You sure do.
Past. So today we're going to be considering Atlantis. Is it real? And also some of the other
Well, sometimes class gets a little held up. Yep, the British con man, our favorite British con man.
networks of ancient civilizations, particularly Kamari Kandam, which was part of ancient India that also supposedly sank into the sea. So we're going to look into some of these ideas and consider whether Atlantis was real or was it part of a giant network of an ancient civilization. Anyway.
Okay, so my first question is obviously going to be, how are you going to look into it if all you're doing is talking on a YouTube video? I mean, we're talking about some lost civilization here, so that would go into, not architecture, but what is that? Archaeological pursuits, which is not something you're going to be, unless you're going to present us factual evidence that archaeologists have proven Atlantis is real. Talking about it, Mister, I can see the future isn't going to prove shit. Hey, Jay Williams, good to see you, man. Look, it's Mr. Burns. Yep.
Welcome to Coffee with Craig.
Yeah, we're just going to skip this
if you're here,
promotion. We're just going to skip the self-promotion. Thank you.
Well, welcome to the show again, and thanks for joining me.
Exactly what I'm saying. Like, we don't know. We don't have any idea. Like, he's just going to predict the future, I guess. The changeable future to prove Atlantis was real. That's the only concept I can think of when he says, let's see if it was real. Because remember, we're not talking about a scientist or an archaeologist here. We're dealing with the third eye expert here. So, anything is possible.
And if you're here for the umpteenth time too, please always try to give us a thumbs up if you enjoy the show. And if you sometimes you might even get that hype button, which is great. Give that a click because it helps get.
Because we always got to start. Remember, people, we're on a spiritual journey. So we can't start our spiritual journey until you start paying me them $3.99s, right? $3.99 subscriptions. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because the spiritual connection gets weak when I don't have enough views.
These ideas out to a wider audience. And if you're here for the first time, please.
So not the psychic medium. So the not so psychic medium is going to tell us if Atlantis exists, but we probably might have to go to his Patreon to get the real scope. Exactly. So he's going to say super general things, and then it may or may not happen in 2027, and then he is a fossil. When he is a fossil, exactly. And what's even more what's even more crazy about it, he's technically a fossil now, so you don't even have to worry if of anybody in 2029 or 2030. He's a fossil now.
Do subscribe, and even those that have been subscribing for a long time, I would suggest you check your subscription list, because sometimes YouTube takes you off after a period of time. So you want to get the notifications, make sure you're
Not really. That does not happen in reality. The only way I could see them taking off your quote unquote subscriptions is if, you know, your account gets terminated, Craig's account gets terminated, or, you know, I guess you factory reset your shit. But YouTube doesn't generally take you off subscriptions. I've never encountered that problem, and I've never heard of it.
subscribed and click the little bell, because then you'll get updates.
Dig him up. I don't care if he passes. Dig him up. He's gonna know what a prediction was on the way, one way or another. Jay Williams, you kill me, bro. Mr. Burns with the third eye, exactly. I'd super chat him just so to see if he would say excellent, right?
Particularly when I make the predictions and so forth on this show. Well, today I'd like to look at something different, because I've been having some discussions on the patrons area about Atlantis, and
you were right, guys. You were right. You said he would say we'd have to get the full scope for the discussion. He just said, I've just been speaking to my Patreon group for that discussion. So that you're right. He was going to pivot it to his Patreon. Well, you know, this is a good discussion, but you know, if the real discussion happens on Patreon, not YouTube. You guys called it.
Is it real? And what are my insights and thoughts about it? So I thought I'd share some of my ideas.
The merch. Can't forget the merch. How sinful it would be for us to not get the merch.
And thoughts and feelings about Atlantis with you today, and perhaps give you some sort of my insights, my psychic insights into what it's all about. So,
but remember, to get his psychic insights, you have to help him figure out what his psychic insights are.
I think first and foremost, it's interesting to consider if Atlantis is not simply perhaps just one island, but a memory perhaps of a lost world.
Craig, the fact that you don't know that it's there. Okay, first of all, if it's a lost civilization, obviously it's a memory of a quote unquote lost world, because obviously it's a civilization in which history has long since forgotten and does not remember what it was like. So that would, by definition, be a lost world. But you're saying don't look at it as an island. Look at it as a memory of a lost world, as if those are two different things. They're not. To have an island that went missing and then subsequently history has forgotten it would be a lost memory of a world in which we know nothing about. And that's assuming Atlantis is real, which you can't confirm.
This could be something like a civilization that once existed around the oceans, whose survivors carried knowledge into Egypt, India, and beyond.
Big scope of fossil dust, exactly.
So it's a fascinating concept. We've got so few clues, really. We've got clues that we find particularly in ancient Greece, because most of the information we get about this nowadays comes from through Plato.
Well, first of all, I hope you realize that the Greeks, although, you know, and trust me, I love me some Socrates, I love me some Plato, I love me some Aristotle, but you got to remember, the Greeks were also known for fibbing. Like there's no proof of Amazons, for example, that warrior race of Amazons. There's no proof they existed. Herodotus himself was constantly known to embellish it, like a lot of what we know about the Battle of Thermopylae with Leonidas. That is from Herodotus, but Herodotus was not there. So it's not to say that, you know, to disrespect the Greeks, but just remember that Greek writing always has to be taken with a grain of salt, because they were philosophers, not architects, historians, or scientists. So they often spiced up their writing with something that was just flamboyantly false.
And that becomes something much larger than just a single story with this. It represents the idea in his writings of
I knew Miss Independence wasn't going to let me get away with that one. And Jay Williams, he says a lot because that's the trademark. Whenever you have someone going that is literally them just thinking up a lie. They didn't write a script ahead of time. They got no assistance, so they got to be like, "Come on, brain, let's do this. Brain, come on, think of something fast." They're looking at me.
a sort of a civilization, a utopia, a perfect society that became powerful, became spiritually corrupt, and was destroyed by water. So for Plato, he was
Yeah, except assuming Atlantis was real, which we don't know that for a fact, you have no idea what happened or why it happened. And I think modern society would tell you that the idea out of all possibilities of why this supposed mythical city went under, the idea that it was because they were spiritually corrupt and therefore water came to destroy them is extremely unpopular as an idea at best.
using it mainly as a symbol, but he got most of his information.
Exactly, Francesca. Exactly. He needs to filter because he don't have notes. Exactly. As you say, Miss Independent, he's not ready for class.
From Soros, who told him about the story of Atlantis. Plato got fascinated by it, but Soros had been extensively spending time in ancient Egypt, and his ideas came from ancient Egypt. So it seems that the
So basically, Plato was told about the story of Atlantis, fascinated about it, so he wrote about it himself. Okay.
stories we have and what Plato wrote down seem to be about this civilization that the ancient Egyptians knew about. And when you think about it, the ancient Egyptian civilization went back so far, didn't it? And one of the
Okay, that was obvious. The Egyptian civilization went back so far. Yeah, and
things I find fascinating when I think about Egypt is that
unless they are going to say once upon a time you could walk across continents and now we can't. Exactly.
the Egypt we know now is a sort of a set in a kind of ghastly desert with just the water of the Nile to fertilize the land. And we assume it had always been like that. But the Sahara itself was a vastly different place no more than 20,000 years ago.
First of all, that's just a painting. Second of all, even though I don't disagree on a surface level that perhaps millions of years ago something like that could have been accurate, we don't know that for a fact. Now, you say we assume it was always like that. That's not true. Scientists and biologists and architects and historians all agree that there are the landscapes that we've been around, because the Earth has been around for millions of years, billions in some cases, that the Earth and how we've seen it has gone through tremendous change in different period of time. We don't make this assumption that there was just the Nile and it was always like that. No, nobody makes that assertion. You made that assertion because you want to put skeptics in a bad light, but no, that's not true. And modern science doesn't agree with that either. But the fact is, we don't know for a fact what it was like back before the earliest writings of hieroglyphs. So by the time they're starting to write this, the Nile is what it is. Was it different a million years ago, 5 million years ago? Undoubtedly so, but we don't know what it was.
Yeah, every 20,000 years, the geologists and scientists.
Exactly. But he wants exactly, Francesca. But he wants us to believe, it happened. We just assume this was always the case. That's never been the scientific point of view. We have never had this point of view where, oh yeah, we just assumed everything was always the way it was. Absolutely not. The first fundamental rule of science is, hey, everything is subject to change. So what we have now is not going to be the same a million years from now. What we had back then is not the same thing that we have now, and so on and so forth. Constant change is a cornerstone of science. Apparently, Greg forgot that in biology class.
Say that the Earth's wobbling on its axis, as we know with astrology and so forth. But sometimes when it moves, it changes the weather climates, like the climate we're beginning to see change. The geologists and scientists say that the Earth's wobbling on its axis, as we know with astrology.
Wobbling? Who the hell told you that it's wobbling? We don't say it's wobbling. We say the Earth is tilted on its axis, but we never say wobbling. You're just making shit up. As Miss Independent said, you're filtering, bro. You're putting filler in.
And so forth. But sometimes when it moves, it changes the weather climates, like the climate we're beginning to see change very much now in modern time.
Yes, Greg. Because the Earth is tilted on its axis, we have weather patterns. That doesn't prove wobbling, though. I don't even. How do you even know if a planet is wobbling? It doesn't have a standard surface to balance it out. You're gonna put Earth on a dinner plate? Like, what is a planet wobbling? I have never heard of a planet wobbling before. I've never heard of that.
And the actual Sahara Desert was once a green paradise. And I find that quite interesting. It wasn't that long ago in our history.
Yeah, it had. What's your point, though? Like, you're bringing up, you said all of that just to say, as Francisca pointed out long before you, oh, well, the Sahara Desert was once flourishing green. Cool, but what's your point?
That it was 5,000 sort of years ago. It would have still been quite a beautiful place. Now, I remember doing some work in Paris with an archaeologist there. And he wanted me to sort of dig into ancient artifacts. I'm very interested in this idea of how far back can we go with psychometry. So psychometry works by holding an object and you talk about that object and who owned, like, if a
psychometry, what?
And I can tell you who owned it, the personality of the person, and get all sorts of impressions.
Oh, that's bullshit. There is no way. No. That is bullshit. No, there is no way that you're just going to pick up an object and be like, this person was 30 years old and he obviously must have, and he liked to eat baked potatoes for lunch. There is no way in hell you get that information from holding an object and getting all this information. Now, finding artifacts, ancient pins, ancient clothing, whatever, yeah, that could tell you a lot through extensive study and research. But, I'm just going to pick things up and I'm just going to feel the history. You're delusional, bro. You are delusional.
And with psychometry of ancient objects, it starts to get very interesting because I've worked with quite a few archaeologists in the past. I did some TV.
It's a miracle. I picked up a pin. It belonged to Pharaoh the Almighty. Now I'm so famous. All I had to do was pick up his ancient pin that I found in the dirt by the power of the gray skull. Exactly.
Programs with this, but also stuff on the side with archaeologists. And one of the things they handed me was an ancient spearhead, and I didn't a flint spearhead, and some Stone Age sort of times. And he handed it to me, and I said, "Well,
Well, first of all, let me just say that having a spearhead is not the same thing as Stone Age. Having a spearhead could be bronze. It could be, especially according to this narrative, it's from the ancient Egyptians. So clearly it's not Stone Age. It would clearly be from an Egyptian soldier or maybe an enemy of the Egyptian empire from a different tribe or country. But that's not, but just because it's a spearhead, that doesn't mean it's from the Stone Ages. That could mean it's, it could be from a soldier, it could be from a prince, you don't know, but it's definitely not Stone Age.
Comes from a place. He didn't tell me where it was from. I said, this comes from a place that's now an
Sorry, he does.
absolute desert. But
He does lightly look like a Skeletor. He does. Jay William, sweet Jay, good seeing you, man.
in its time, it was an absolutely beautiful place. I said it was full of lakes, and it was full of water, and it had green pastures, and it seemed to have so much flora and animals and fish. I said the people of this time, far from having had a grueling existence, actually had a beautiful existence.
Yeah, but you're mixing Stone Age with ancient Egyptian age. The ancient Egyptians did not live in a Stone Age, and by the time that the Egyptians as a civilization came, they did not have a fluorescent green valley, etc. They had the Nile, they had their civilization, they built their, they built their industries, they built their economies and what have you. They were not around when this whole supposed green flora was around. So and also you said their spearhead came from the Stone Ages, so you're mixing a lot of things around.
And I said, this, I don't know where this is from, but I said, and
Hey,
this was
Sassy.
used for fishing, I feel. This is a spear that would.
Yes, sweet. What did you find this time? Yep, I found Greg, Coffee with Greg. And yes, undoubtedly he is a cult leader, because he is literally getting a following, Patreon, books and whatever on his supernatural shit. If you saw my last live, we got him confessing to all types of nonsense of Noda leaves, and how he can see into the future, and yet the future can be changed depending on our actions. How he wants you to subscribe to Patreon so that you can get a quick in reading with him, buying his books, buying the books of his friends. And he even said, and I quote to you this one time, I wish I was joking. He said, "I am so glad that we don't have skeptics in here. We just have people interested in people interested in reading their psychic shit or whatever." Basically saying that he doesn't want a skeptical audience. He doesn't want anyone to challenge him. He wants them to buy their books. He wants them to go on their Patreon. He wants them to send him the money, buy his books. And he even said himself that he gets his predictions by having his audience help suss out the information. So he is a cult leader. Yes, blindfolding, exactly. Oh, goody. Bringing in cult leaders. Yep. Well, maybe not that type of cult, Jay, but he's the type that'll say there's going to be wars in 2030, and he'll hope that you'll be dumb enough to wait till 2030 so he can be gone. And here's another thing, Jay, that you're going to find very interesting. He's very skilled manipulator because he focuses on maybes. He always centers his predictions on maybe, so that if they happen, cool, he'll take credit for it. If they don't, which he sets it all the way into the future, so he almost certainly never has to deal with that possibility. But if it does, he'll remind you that he didn't tell you that it could. He'll say that it gets these things are fluid, and you change them according to what you do. So don't expect it to. So don't blame me when it doesn't happen, because I never told you it would. I just told you it could. The future is malleable. Into the world as you take it yourself. Exactly. And it's good to see you, Sassy.
Would have been used an arrowhead that would have been not used on an arrow as such, but as something to plunge into the water to catch the fish. And he was sort of
okay. You have no way to know what that spear was used for. You weren't there 1,000 years ago. So even though what you're saying is logical and it could be true, you don't know for a fact it's true. You only picked up the spearhead, and you want us to believe you can tell what happened simply by the fact that you're holding it, which doesn't prove anything.
Amazed that because we've done some other objects as well. He was amazed at the information I was getting from these objects. He says, well, this actually came from the...
Oh, yeah, it is amazing. The bullshit you managed to spew on the side when you were younger, had quicker wits, and, a dumber audience than you do now was amazing.
Sahara Desert. And one of the theories we have is that the Sahara Desert was far from a desert, but was actually a beautiful.
Bro, you literally already said this. You literally just said a few minutes ago the Sahara Desert was once lush and green. Nobody disagrees with you. Now, apparently, you forgot your own statement and you're bringing it up again. Oh, did you know the Sahara Desert wasn't always a desert? Yes. A few minutes later, oh, the Sahara Desert, we think it was green and whatever. And it's like, bro, we know. We know. You just said this. You might want to check and see if you're getting any your dementia pills on time.
Full landscape, just as you described it, and the people lived there.
He's the most forgetful psychic ever, right? He needs to take coffee out of his title. Coffee has been nothing but good to me. Total clickbait. Yeah, exactly.
A wonderful time, but as it dried out, the people.
Also, there's another question I have. Is he talking about ancient Egypt or the Sahara Desert? Because I don't know if he realizes this, but ancient Egypt and the Sahara Desert, when we're talking about the Niles, those are not in the same location. So I hope he knows that.
Migrated to places that could be sustain life, and we're
His
better
third
than the
eye is
Nile.
malfunctioning. This is why I love you guys. You guys always have the best comments. Never change, guys. Never change. You guys are the best.
Imagine if the Sahara is gradually drying up. Slowly, the civilization is going to move from the Sahara to other places. So I have often questioned in my own mind, what was the civilization like there? I mean, if you've got...
Well, why do you have to guess? You're telling us that you can see what happened by touching an object. So why don't you go to the Sahara Desert, pick up some object, or ask your audience to bring you an object of this supposed civilization that existed in the Sahara Desert, which, by the way, you were previously talking about the Egyptians, and then close your eyes, count to 10, and rub the dust on your fingers, and then just tell us what it was, because you're saying you can see what happened through it, so why not do that? Or does that power not work anymore?
Great abundance of food, and you've got plenty of leisure time, it means you can start to develop other things, such as a civilization. You can start...
What did you guys say? You know, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. He went to school with Plato. Pluto was a planet. Exactly. I love how Al Gore on the internet bring out the wackos. Exactly. He should be able to tell us. Wasn't he there? Hey, he said, pick up the hand, pick up the object, give it in my hand. I can see what everything was. So you'd think is so damn equal opportunity.
To have time to think about the world, or contemplate the world, or do the meditative side of things, and talk philosophy even. I mean, who's to say these people were sort of grunts walking around? You know, they could have been very intelligent people.
Well, I grant you they could have been intelligent in their own right, but you have to understand something about ancient humans. The average ancient human, especially as far back as we're talking about, are people who couldn't read, usually attributed everything to the spiritual realm without any scientific understanding or political thought, and largely just believed in the ancient stories that their forefathers told them, and their forefathers didn't know anything. So I'm not blaming them. I'm not looking down on them. I'm not trying to say they're inferior to us in any way, but you have to understand that just by the sheer circumstances between modern and ancient humans, the most brightest of ancient humans is not going to be nearly as intelligent or as knowing as a modern day human. And that's simply because we've evolved. Our civilizations have evolved, technologies have advanced, science has advanced, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And that'll be true for us in the future when there's humans, when civilization has long since, upgraded again, we will be forgotten, and if we are remembered, generations of kids and students will just be sitting in classrooms and be like, man, these were some dumb people. And I mean, it's just how history goes, It's no harm, no foul. It's just how history goes.
And so maybe in this whole
Well, I'll catch up to the comments. Um, this is the side of the internet when you scroll down too long and too far. Exactly. Um, is he one of yours? This is the side of the internet that makes you aware that you have left the planet Earth and are lost in the galaxy. Exactly. We're too far in meta space now. No way home.
And so maybe in this whole area, I've thought for many years that this is where civilization may have grown up, not in sub-Sahara Africa, but in this area, which was the sort of perfect ground for
It's agreed in modern history that the most likely place where humanity began was in Africa, but I'm confused because first he says that the Sahara Desert was, not always desert, which I agree. Then he says that these people may have been very intelligent, which I mean, again, as long as we understand the nuances of intelligence, I would agree. And now he's saying, "Oh, this could be where it began," followed by, "Well, not in the sub-Sahara of Africa, bro. You literally just said this was filled with intelligent people, a civilization, um, prospering according to your narrative, and now suddenly they can't be the beginning of civilization." I'm confused.
a civilization to grow. And then recently, there's been on Joe Rogan, for example, show, it's brilliant to watch. There's a good one out there, go and watch it, where he interviews a guy called Jimmy.
Jay, I'm sorry, but if we do that, then Harry and Meghan are going to sue us, and then what will happen to Mr. Judge? Don't get Mr. Judge canceled. They'll take away my money as if I and they don't need to. I mean, yeah, I may not be making no money off of this, but they don't need to know that. I'll be starting to pay in make believe money. They're gonna be yeah, exactly. Recession hit them.
Or Corsetti, I think his name was, who's put forward the theory
Okay.
that there's been found in the Sahara these concentric circles. Now, Plato described Atlantis as being a series of circles around each.
Wait, I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but is he trying to argue that Atlantis was in the Sahara Desert? Because that's where this is leading towards. It's leading me to him suggesting that, and to me to think that he's suggesting Atlantis was in the Sahara Desert when it was lush and green. Um, I think modern archaeology is not going to agree with you there, Greg.
Other concentric circles of land, sea, land, sea. A really interesting way to build.
Hey, I call it as I see it. Just when I was hoping Megan would say no to coming back to the UK.
A city, if you think about it, because it means you could go round in a circle. You could have boats going around in the circle. You've got like a bus service almost, A great way to run a city if you had abundant water. Now, if the Sahara was flooded like that for such a long period of time, it would be quite easy to channel the water like this. I mean, we see it in.
So you're literally trying to argue, with no evidence, mind you, that the Sahara Desert, because it might have been lush and green, which doesn't prove that it was, as you called it, flooded, by the way, you're trying to argue that that could be evidence for the Sahara Desert being the birthplace of the Atlantic City? No. First of all, Craig, that is a theory without any type of basis. Second issue is, even if there was some grounds to your theory, you realize that the whole premise of the Atlantis city was that it was an island city, which is not what the Sahara Desert is, and because it's the Sahara Desert's on a continent, and eventually the island sinks into the sea. Now, if it's the Sahara Desert where this is totally located, if anything, there would be archaeological ruins buried in the sand. Not it wouldn't be able to sink or be destroyed by water because the Sahara went from water to desert, not desert to water. So this argument makes no sense.
In some of the huge temples in Cambodia, for example, where
Let me see what you guys said. He must be reading the globe upside down. Exactly. And he says, I bet he can't spell Sahara. Probably not. And he looks like his shirt's sharing with Umar. Exactly.
they channeled the water and made the whole city based around a canal system. But if you had the sort of level of water that the Sahara would have had, well, then that would have been quite interesting, wouldn't it? You could have dug it all out. You could have made it quite easily because the water's already there if you're in a sort of a lakeland sort of area like this.
But the Sahara Desert is located in the continent of Africa, Greg. It's not on an island, and therefore it would have had no ability to drown unless you're trying to argue all of that entire area of Africa once sank into the ocean. But even if you tried to argue that, the problem still comes. You don't have any remains of it. You don't have any buildings. You don't have any clothing. You don't have anything of this supposed Atlantis. So ignoring the fact that it's not possible thanks to geography, even if it were possible in theory, you have literally no remains of ancient Atlantis, Greg. Unless you're trying to argue, well, it's down there now, and if we just get some buckets and shovels and cranes and dig up there, we'll find it. Why hasn't anyone else done that then? If this theory had any weight to it, how come nobody has ever attempted it? Answer that, Greg.
And Jimmy Corsetti says that the
he can work AI. He's saying Atlantis was in the Sahara Desert when it was lush and fertile. I know, and that makes no sense whatsoever, to be completely honest with you. Greg, I've decided not to have coffee with you. My hands are tied. Rent is so high. If there was a secret place to live for free, people would have found it. Exactly. Like, bro, if it could actually be lived in the Sahara Desert and it was a secret place, phew, everybody would go there.
Measurements that they found, Jimmy Corsetti says that the measurements that they found in the Sahara, they found this huge structure that seems to be describe exactly what Plato saw, that there was these concentric circles and the measure across it is 30 miles wide. So that's about the right.
This sounds like this is nothing more than hearsay. So somebody said this, so I'm going to say, and Plato, somebody said this, that they found this. I'm going to say this because they told me that. This is all a bunch of hearsay bullshit.
Size for a city. They call this the Eye of the Sahara.
Hey, Rosetta, good to see you.
I'll put some pictures up. And it's in the southern deserts, I think it is, of the Sahara.
Good to see you, Rosetta.
In Mauritania, southern deserts, I think it is, of the Sahara in Mauritania sort of area. And so that would fit in absolutely perfectly well with Plato's theory. The skeptics have argued that, no, this is probably a geological thing. It's possibly a collapsed volcano. And if it is the lost city of Atlantis, then why aren't we finding loads of artifacts there? Why aren't we finding bits of pottery? Why aren't we finding bits of what would suggest there was a lost civilization if we had a 30-mile across city there? So,
and before he tries to, debunk that, I just want to say these are very reasonable questions. Because what he's essentially just said is, well, we have this image that seems to have been a structure, and it's exactly what seems to be what Plato described. Now that's a lot of big ifs there. But then why are we not finding anything else? Why are we not finding pottery, as they said? Why are we not finding any of these things? You can't just have a look-like image say, well, one person say, well, this looks exactly like what Plato saw or said he saw or heard he said, and then say, oh, well, therefore it must be true. No, you have to have significant evidence. There would be pottery, there would be buildings, there would be other things. You haven't found any of those things. So he's trying to dismiss a legitimate criticism.
There's big questions with it as well, of course. There's big questions with it as well, of course. But it's interesting to
see how he doesn't address it. When look at him, he literally didn't address it. He spent all this time telling us of justifying how this could possibly be the lost city of Atlantis. Then when the skeptics bring out some good points like, why have we not found any of these things? Why have we not found clothing? Why have we not found pottery? Greg's response is to just be like, well, there's some big questions, of course. This Independent, you're crazy. And join him in his channel and super chat him to ask about gas prices will be in Kentucky for 7 days. Oh, that would be amazing. But anyways, but his responses to just go, yeah, there's some big questions, whatever. Why aren't you answering it? You are like, why is Mr. Craig, the guy who's so convinced that was the lost city of Atlantis and making up all these points and can see things through the palms of his hands by touching ancient clothing, why is he not answering them? He's just like acknowledging those answers, those criticisms exist, and then he's shrugging them on the rug like, oh yeah, those are some big questions. Anyway, moving on. No, fuck you. You tell us exactly why we haven't found any of these ancient things that would have that according to you would have proven the skeptics wrong. And if you can't do it, then shut the hell up.
To contemplate that there could have definitely been, I feel, because when I was doing
I just need the power all numbers, please, and thank you. I need the Powerball. Exactly, just general. He has no predictions for the audience, just general stuff that is nonsense. Exactly. And you know what, Sweet J? There was actually a funny skit from It's Real 85. You guys should definitely watch him. And it had this funny thing of him turning The Walking Dead into a comedy. And one of the things that happens towards the end is Glenn from The Walking Dead hears a radio announcement, and it literally says, and it's zombies on the radio saying, thank you for playing the Powerball. The winning numbers is everybody wins. So come to us, bring your family. I swear we're not zombies either. And then after that's over, Glenn's like, I'm going. And the dude's like, what? That was zombies, man. And he's like, no, they weren't zombies. You could come with me. You heard them. And the dude's like, it's a trap, bro. Really? You didn't hear him? And he's like, and Glenn's like, you're just a hater. And they're like, well, if you're that stupid, just go then, bro. And he's like, but you got to take the only car though. And Glenn's like, I'm gonna bring it back. And Glenn and they're like, bro, you're not coming back. And he's like, yes, I am. And you're like, you're gonna die. And then he just gets into his car and says, haters gonna hate. And as he drives off, the last remark is, bro, you're stupid. And you know what's even funnier? What's even funnier is I told that to a friend years later, and you know what he said? Fresh meat on the way, meals on wheels. Oh, I'll never forget that. I was like, fresh meat on the way, meals on wheels. I'll never forget that.
in that psychometry, this is why I say my insights come from this. When I was doing that psychometry with the archaeology, he actually gave me the arrowhead.
And remember, people, psychometry or cyclotomy, whatever he wants to call it, is nothing more than holding on an ancient thing, going om, channeling into your chakras, I guess, and immediately you're giving this vivid image of what these people were doing, according to him.
Commentary with the archaeology, he actually gave me the arrowhead afterwards too, that I could take with me. When I did this,
oh yeah, and funny enough, he gave you an arrowhead that you're not presenting to us, and therefore denying us the knowledge that you actually have it.
I'd had such strong visions of this civilization that was in a idyllic world. And I was describing peoples of that time who were highly advanced spiritually, highly advanced intellectually, and certainly not a savage sort of civilization.
Well, Craig, very little civilizations in history are regarded as savage. The attitude that a civilization was savage came from empirical thoughts and arrogance from empires that treated other civilizations as inferior to promote their own. So when you say, "Oh, well, it wasn't a savage civilization," well, a true historian would actually tell you almost no civilization is truly savage. There were some that made mistakes. There were some that were, obviously better to live than others, but none of them were quote unquote savage. Like they had no logic or reasoning or were just barbaric. That's just the condescension talking that people have made for thousands of years against other people. It's not historically true.
So the Green Sahara may have been one of the possibilities of where Atlantis was. But then there's also other stories when we look to the other side of the world. And in fact, all around the world, there's some interesting thoughts about lost civilizations and things like this.
Yeah, but what does that even matter? I mean, I thought the discussion was proving that Atlantis was definitely in the Sahara Desert. That's what your whole argument has been building up. And for whatever reason, you're now transitioning from talking about that, which you did very poorly, I might add. But now you're bringing up, well, other people from different countries have such interesting thoughts of lost civilizations. We're not talking about lost civilizations, Greg. We're talking about Atlantis. Stay on topic, bro. It's bad enough you forget what you're saying. Stay on topic.
And a great flood that happened. I mean, there's also even stories in the Bible, for example, with Noah.
Yep, he does. He has quite a few subscribers, I got to say.
Noah's flood. We were talking. There's also even in stories in the Bible, for example, with Noah's flood. We were talking about it on the Patreon pages. Someone was saying there, which I thought was an interesting theory.
Bro, Noah's Ark is common knowledge. It don't matter if you're Christian, atheist like I am, or Hindu, whatever. Noah's Ark is common knowledge, and it's pretty pathetic that you're going to lean into, well, the Sahara Desert could have been the Atlantis, but then the freaking Noah's Ark giant world-ending flood happened. No, bro, that narrative's not going to work because number one, we can't confirm that Noah's Ark even happened. I personally don't believe it did, but even outside of what I think, that just from a pure academic point of view, you can't prove that it actually happened. Even if it quote unquote did, you can't prove that that doesn't prove the Atlantis, this lost civilization, was in the Sahara Desert because the freaking civilization was on an island, if it existed at all, which I don't think it did. But if it did, it would have been on an island, not on a continent. And we don't have, and also keep in mind, chat, we don't have a confirmed timeline of when the Noah's Ark story happened, when this Atlantis story happened. We don't have confirmation on that, much less the timeline. So when he's bringing up all these other different stories, he's trying to create a narrative from so many different stories and stitch them together to, convince his followers he has some great insight. He's just making shit up.
When it's one of the UFO type theories that Noah's Ark might not have been a boat at all, but have been a primitive way of describing
exactly,
a way that people from outer space had tried.
He's getting it from himself, from his meditations, Rosetta. He's getting it. He's getting it by all of these messages from these Notic leaves that he says gets written down every 200 years. And also he's getting it from other people because, as he himself said, he has to suss out the information. So somebody has to say something to him, and then he has to start his guesswork, and then he has to remind himself to stay on the period of maybe, so he can suggest things that are not supportable in order to argue things that he's going to not hold himself to. And if you try to hold him to anything, he'll cleverly tell you, hey, I only said maybe, not that it will, only maybe. It is crazy. It's so funny. Like I can see the manipulation he's doing, and it is clever. It is a clever manipulation. It's just, but it's also so easy to, if you pay attention to the signs, it's so easy to detect. But at the same time, I can't help but acknowledge its cleverness to people who don't think deeply. And they're breeding. Yep. Actually, that brings up a good point, Miss Independent. And I don't mean to say this to insult anybody or to imply that everybody is stupid, but you have to always remember, on principle, intelligent people are always going to be outnumbered by dumb people. And dumb people will always breed more than intelligent people. Not insulting anybody. I'm just saying that as a fact. Overall, in terms of like math, the intelligent population of a civilization versus the unintelligent is very wide. Like most people the idiots and unintelligent people make the bulk of the population. I don't like saying that. I wish it wasn't true, but unfortunately, it is. Their breeding is the issue.
To save the world by keeping a genetic record of everything that ever existed. Save the world by keeping a genetic record of
let's go
everything
back to that again.
that have been a primitive
Let's
way
hear
of
that again.
describing a way that people from outer space had tried to save the world by keeping a genetic record of everything that ever existed in a spacecraft. And that's what Noah's Ark was.
Spacecraft? What the hell does he mean spacecraft? Did he just claim that Noah's Ark is a spacecraft? Oh, bro. Oh, man. Oh, man. My brain is hurting now.
Because you'd have to have an ark the size of New York to put all the animals in it. But
it didn't happen, Greg. That's one of the most glaring. Exactly, a UFO apparently. Yeah, you heard it right. I didn't catch that the first time. Now I did though. And here's the thing. Here's the thing, right, Greg? That's one of the most arguable reasons of why not to believe in Noah's Ark. Because think about this. The narrative tells you that all these animals, lions, tigers, zebras, antelope, whatever, all somehow magically knew they had to get on an ark to save themselves. And prey and predator sitting side by side on a boat for months, nobody eating each other. I call bullshit on that. I'm sorry. You can tell me a man built a giant boat. You can tell me a whole huge tsunami from hell came and washed the old world away. Okay, fine. But you are not going to convince me that predator and prey alike just intellectually knew that they had to sit in a boat months together without fighting. And they just did so obediently. There is no way you're convincing me of that.
But of course, the genetic records and the DNA records don't support that. So it's probably an unlikely.
What DNA record are you talking about?
Idea, but an interesting idea. But we get these stories of the flood that are also shown in Noah's story, but we also got it in the Sumerian stories of Gilgamesh. And if we go into India, we have the same idea. What was the name of the Mammon, I think it was Mammon, who talks about the flood stories, almost,
Yeah, but you do know that by admitting that many different civilizations came up with their own stories of floods, the logic here that Greg is going with is to try and argue, well, this is, I know, Rosetta, I know, I can't believe people actually believe him. Now, the argument he's trying to make here is a flood probably happened because multiple civilizations all have their own stories of a flood. However, that argument is easily refutable, because a counter argument is the whole reason there's so many different variations of this supposed flood is because it never happened to begin with. You know, think about it. The Greeks argued that Zeus came with a giant flood to punish humanity for cannibalism, as he brought out Gilgamesh and Mormon and what have you. Now think about this. What's more likely? A world-ending flood wiped out all but a one single family and a few animals, and we're all descended from those people, or many civilizations had poets write about giant floods to punish humanity for whatever sin, whether it was because you engaged in cannibalism, because you were uncivilized, because you were all these other things. How do we have so many writings of these floods if one narrative tells you it's just a single family hiding on a boat versus Gilgamesh versus all these other things? Why is there no one consistent story behind it? If it was a true historical event, how can so many different civilizations have similar stories when the narrative is everybody but one family is getting wiped out? That's why I don't believe in this nonsense. There's so many holes to poke in the Noah's Ark story. It's ridiculous.
An exact replica, really, of these flood stories around the world. So something happened, didn't it?
No, it doesn't. All it proves is that many different civilizations had clever writers who literally had similar ideas. That's all that establishes. It does not, however, establish for a fact that it happened. And look at him sipping at his on his little cup as if he said something brilliant. All these different people, all these different civilizations, they had similar stories. That must have been that something must have happened. Like a gotcha moment. And it's like, bro, you didn't say shit. You just meshed a bunch of stories together that you regurgitated and spun your own narrative at it.
And I felt a very strong sense of this. Another point where I kind of tuned into this in a deep sort of way is when I went to India and did my Mystic Journey to India movie I made from it. But I went to...
Wait, you're what? Did you just say you went on your mystic journey and then said Mystic Journey movie?
And did my Mystic Journey to India movie I made from it.
Movie I made from it. Movie. Oh, I was just going to say, sipping on that cup of tea. Yeah, it's coffee. Coffee with Greg. This is the crazy side of foolishness. Yeah, it really is. It really is. And did you hear him? Oh, when I went to my mystic journey in India, and then he says I made a movie about it. So, bro, for a supposed spiritualist, you're really down to earth. You got your Patreon. You're on the internet. You're making movies. You're doing a whole lot of material shit, and getting money, I might add, for someone who's so spiritually detached from this earth and meditating on futures and seeing people with your third eye. You're very materialistic sort of guy for a psychic. I'm just saying.
But I went to Mahabalipuram.
Don't do acid, folks. Don't end up like this guy. Exactly. And we know, and he don't even have to say it, we know that when somebody tells me, oh, I went on a mystic journey, you've been eating them shrooms, weren't you? You were having them psychedelics, or no, not psychedelics, hallucinogenics. You really have been to other world, Greg. Too bad it's not the real world.
Movie I made from it. But I went to Mahabalipuram, and this is a temple complex that goes right back. Again, it's steeped in ancient history, this. And when I visited Mahabalipuram, I had a very strong feeling that what we see on land is only part of the story.
What we see on land is only part of the story. I know, the rest is in UFOs.
The shore temple feels like a sort of a marker, almost like the last visible point of something that once extended further out to sea. I had such a strong...
What? This independent, you got to help me with this one. He's saying that he's implying now that the Atlantis, to justify why he's trying to say that Atlantis and the Sahara Desert might have been in the same place, that it might have been further out to sea. Everybody in the chat, please help me understand, how the hell are we going to how the hell do we have a giant civilization that apparently was further out to sea, which implies it was on an island? Then it gets destroyed by water and it's sent to the Sahara Desert, where apparently it's not destroyed but flourishes, and now we can't find any historical trace of it. That I don't. I know. We can't make sense out of damn nonsense, but my God, this narrative, Craig. I'll say this much, bro. You are one hell of a storyteller. I'll tell you that much. It might be bullshit. It might not make a whole lot of sense, but my God, for your age, you tell some unbelievable stories. I'm not gonna lie. He tells some interesting stories, even though it's not true. Even though we know this makes no sense, it's at least very interesting. Very interesting.
Feeling about this. And the Shiva temples were often, I feel, sacred markers, but kept an.
Oh, the Shiva temples were sacred markers. A temple viewed as sacred. Who would have thunk that, Greg? That's some interesting thing. Take another sip of your coffee, Greg. You're thinking too. The sugar's restarting your brainwave.
Impression of what had happened before, because like the ancient temples, I feel part of what they're about is that some of those
He doesn't even have to be 30 days sober. Exactly.
ancient temples, of what they're about is that some of those ancient temples, they have the astral forms of the great spiritual teachers from the past, including.
What the hell do you mean astral forms? I got to hear this again. Astral forms.
Like the ancient temples, I feel part of what they're about is that some of those ancient temples, they have the astral forms of the great spiritual teachers from the past, including Shiva, if we consider Shiva.
So what he's saying is, if I was an ancient teacher in the Shiva temples, I lived and taught, and then I died, and then I turned into a freaking temple? Is that literally what he just said to me? I'm going to be a temple in astral form. I graduated from the temple, I became a teacher, and then I transcended from the human being to be a freaking astral building. Wow. What an achievement.
As being like an avatar type teacher, Godhead itself, sort of thing.
An avatar like teacher. Astroforms is actually a tech term, Folio. Exactly, Miss Independent. But he said astroforms. And he says he literally put an avatar. Where's Williams at? Williams, you got to be here, bro. The freaking Avatar The Last Airbender is talking about Astros.
Spiritual teachers from the past, including Shiva, if we consider Shiva as being like an avatar type teacher.
God. See, he even said it. Avatar like teacher. Avatar like teacher. We know he has to be there. There is no way. There is no way. This ain't happening. This is. Oh man, Craig. The fact people pay you to say this—that's amazing. Jay Williams, come back, bro. You gotta listen to this shit.
Head itself, sort of thing, and that even today. We are seeing when I talk about the return and the future of the world, golden age, that this is actually going to come of the world, golden age.
So we're going to return Greg is down bad, exactly. And he got liquor in that coffee. He has to be. He has to be. And then here's the thing too that kills me. The thing that kills me the most is the fact that he says we're going to return to the world. And then he thought about that. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. So he adds golden age. We're going to return to the world. Oh, wait, that doesn't make sense. Golden age. And it's like, when did the earth ever have a golden age? I want to know. When was there a time where pain and death and violence didn't happen? Like, even when we look at the tiniest insects, there's a constant battle from predator versus prey, just as we deal with it today. So I don't understand the supposed golden age that people always say, oh, the golden age of this, oh, the golden age of that. And it's like, bro, let's be real. This earth has always been a shit show. It always has been a shit show, and it always will be a shit show. Just my take on it.
This is actually going to come in the form of partly incarnated beings, but also the
wait. Go back. What? Incarnated beings?
Golden age. That this is actually going to come in the form of partly incarnated beings.
Your Abaludia used to be married to one of these famous psychic gurus in the 80s. Oh, wow.
Beings, but also in the form of partly incarnated beings, but also
the fuck is incarnated beings? Yeah, he called it incarnated beings. I don't know what an incarnated beings. I know what a reincarnated beings but what's a incarnated? How do you become incarnated? I've never heard of that. I know reincarnation, where I died and I became a plant, but I've never heard of incarnation. Is that reincarnation in reverse? Seriously, guys, think about that. Incarnation. So if reincarnation is rebirth, I don't know what it is either, but let's think about this. If we know that reincarnation means rebirth, right? Incarnation must mean the opposite. So explain to me how if reincarnation is rebirth, how am I incarnated would have to mean the opposite of that, like no birth? I'm a no birth being instead of a reborn being? Like, how do I not be reborn as an incarnated? How do I not be reborn? I'm confused, because reincarnation is constant existence. Incarnation must mean non-existence, incarnated being. I'm lost. I'm trying to make sense of it, but
so the invisible presence of the great teachers that we will
wait the invisible
presence of the great teachers that we will become aware of. And when
wait a minute. Oh, incarnate means to have a physical body as an idea in living form based on AI. Huh. That's interesting. But here's something that I'm also interested in now that he just said that. How do we know of an invisible presence? How does that work, Greg? We're going to feel the invisible presence of our teachers. The invisible presence of our teachers. If the presence is invisible, how are we going to know they're there? To be invisible means we don't know you. We don't see you, bro. You're not there. You're invisible. Now you're saying we're going to meet these invisible presences? We're going to be aware? Or better yet, guys, if I was trying to be invisible and you became aware of where I was at, am I doing my job right? Am I invisible? If the goal is to be invisible, to be an invisible presence, are they supposed to feel my presence? Because then it's not really being invisible, is it? Right? He could have spared us the time in our lives and just said ghost. Right, exactly.
And I went to, now this is where you're going to start thinking I'm a complete nutty psychic that's completely lost the plot. I understand.
Oh no, we came to that conclusion a long time ago, Greg. You don't have to worry about that. We came to that conclusion like literally two last live stream ago. When we first met you, we came to that conclusion. You don't have to worry about you sounding crazy now. You sounded crazy ever since I started reacting to you. So don't worry, bro. You've got nothing to lose at this point.
But when I went to these ancient places, I often felt the presence of the gurus of that temple, the avatars, the gods of that temple. I don't.
We don't think you lost the plot, bro. We are clear on that. I know, right? We're super clear on that point.
Of the gurus of that temple, the avatars, the gods of that temple. I'd opened myself up. Arunachala was particularly like that. It was an overwhelming experience for me. And remember,
but mind you, he had to be told about these gurus. Thank you for admitting you are a damn guru. But mind you, he had to be told about these gurus first and foremost. He had to be told about them so he could suss out the information according to how his supposed powers work. So it wasn't like he went in there not knowing a damn thing about the gurus and then suddenly felt the presence and said, I feel this unknown presence around me. Is this the guru? No, he went by, so ancient gurus once taught at this esteemed temple that is now abandoned. I gotta go there. Oh, wow. You know what, guys? Yeah, I really feel his presence. Yeah, he's totally here with us. You know, by the way, my Patreon starts at 5. Always had to be told, never sees it with his third eye. Exactly. Yeah, I can't fix his Washington teeth. Nope.
You could say, oh, it's a load of fantasy. But I prove it's not fantasy every time I do a mediumistic reading for someone and can name the people in the spirit world. You know, I am.
Okay, but you charge people for that, though. You literally said in the last stream that I had with you that if somebody wanted to get a fast reading with you, they had to do it through Patreon, and Patreon costs money. And now you're saying that we're ridiculous for calling it fake because you prove it's not fantasy. How do you prove it's not fantasy, Greg? You never proved a damn thing. You yourself are always on maybe. You're always on this could be true, it could not be true. We'll have to wait and see if it actually happens. And then when people called you out on it, that of some things not happening, you're like, well, I never said it could. You know, the future is malleable. The things change based on your actions. So, I mean, bro, you don't prove nothing.
I'm aware of the invisible world. I am aware of this, and why not also be aware of the...
If you're aware of it, it's not invisible, dummy. That is... This is the nonsense that I get lost with people when they try to tell me I know that there is an unseen world out there that science can't discover. And it's like, if you can't discover it because it's an unknown world, how do you know about it? The very idea that you know about what you say cannot be known is an immediate contradiction. That's the start of stuff that pisses me off, because it's like I watched the live stream last stream. I was like, this dude is making stuff up as he goes. Exactly. That's why I'm filming him, because he makes up all this weird crap. It makes up no sense. But I get so tired. And I get tired of people trying to always tell me, well, bro, there's a limitation to science. We don't know everything in science. Okay, fine, that's true. But then it's like, oh, but I know there's an unseen world out there. I know that there's a world where we can't physically see it. Bro, you are part of this physical plane with me. If you can't prove what you're saying, you can't say that it's a fact. It's that simple. Only he has the inside scope. Exactly. And that's what makes it a cult. The cult of nothing. Exactly. Which makes me even madder, because people are paying this dude for literally nothing.
Ancient rishis and the ancient teachers. And this is what, you know, we talk about the nadis on this channel quite a lot. But this is also where I was given so many teachings.
Well, it's 10 pounds of sugar, 20 pounds of hallucinogenics, and 30 pounds of bullshit, all sprinkled into one. That's what's in the coffee.
on this channel quite a lot. But this is also where I was given so many teachings in a similar sort of way. In the Nadis, it says you are a rishi, you've been a rishi, and you're connecting with the rishis of old. I know I've had.
What the hell's a rishi? Might as well call himself a Wookiee. I never heard nobody ever say that. Oh, they told me in the Nadis, I am a rishi. You're always a rishi. Might as well call yourself a damn Wookiee.
Had an ancient life too, but not necessarily in these places. But there's a connection.
So let me tell you. So let me get this straight. Somebody sold you on this bullshit. Convinced you of this naughty nonsense, and now, and that you're a rishi, and that you've always been a rishi, and that in past life you were living it up on the high life, and now that's the reason why you're telling us this bullshit now?
With these places, and so I was very much connected with this idea.
Richie. There has to be.
Here, that when I was in Mahabalipura, that there was some part of me that could connect with what seemed to be another civilization out there. And
okay, what civilization? You see, saying these anonymous things. I know, but I can't help it. But here's the thing. He's saying what I believe to be a lost civilization. So you don't even know if it's a lost civilization. It's just what you feel based on what you hallucinated. That's what you're telling us.
In the Nadis, again, there's talk of the ancient lost city or kingdom of Kamari Khan.
I know. Why do the gurus always go to weird destinations no one ever goes to? Because it's a lie. That's why. Facts. That is a fact. Undeniably a fact.
City or kingdom of Kamari Kandam.
They always go destinations that no airline goes to. What in blazon? Exactly. Now, let me go back. What did you say?
Again, there's talk of the ancient lost city or kingdom of Kamari Kandam. Now, this is...
Wait a minute. Kamari Kandam? I thought we were talking about the lost city of Atlantis. Now we're talking about Imari Kandam? Bro, you definitely lost the plot now. You oh my god. How do you forget what city you're talking about? You went from the Atlantic city to Kamari Kingdom.
The idea is that it's a very similar idea to Atlantis, in that there was a civilization that...
Oh, so he's now out of the civilization. Nope, we don't. He supposedly has a spearhead that he doesn't show anybody. But here's another thing. It's like he went from talking about Atlantis, which apparently is literally what the whole video is titled. It's literally titled, "Was Atlantis Real? Psychic Impressions of a Lost Civilization." So he went from talking about Atlantis to now he's talking about Kamari Kingdom, which honestly sounds like a name from frickin' Mario. I got to be honest with you.
Beneath the waves. Now, I found it very, very powerfully there, particularly at Mahabalipur.
The only souvenir we have of all these places is him. Exactly.
The waves. Now, I found it very, very powerfully there, particularly at Mahabalipuram, but also in many of the other sites along the ancient Indian sites, because I feel, just like I talk about, you can hold an object and you can feel the object, you get the psychometry, you can describe the history, you can send your mind back and get pictures of the past. So
if I hold a pen, I can literally take the stuff in my mind and I can go all the way back and bring back pictures. He sure is disappointing. Abra from Pokemon was more exciting than him. Right. Williams, guess what he's telling us? He's telling us we can, if we hold on to an object, we can go all the way back in time and we're going to bring back pictures.
Too with the temples. If I go, for example, to Stonehenge, or I go to Avebury Ring, and where you can put your hands on the stones, you connect. Many people there, when I see it, people are putting their hands on the stones. They're connecting with the past. We know about this.
Ah, my brothers and sisters of this live stream. I know, right? My brothers and sisters of this live stream, please touch upon this stone and connect to the past and bring back all the pictures you can. Please, my brothers and sisters, we must know about our past. Listen to this nonsense. You can't get nothing from touching no stone or no pin or anything of that nature. That is a bunch of bull. By that logic, detectives would be able to see murder scenes by just picking up the freaking murder knife and say, oh, yes, I see him. I see the picture of the past. Oh, my God, she was so frightened. He was a big man, 6'2", 300-pound weight man. Like, you don't see that nowhere. That's why forensics exists. I don't trust Dracula abilities. Exactly. And by the way, academic, it's great to see you. It's been quite a while since I've seen you. But yes, I don't trust psychic Dracula's abilities either. Good to see you, academic.
So that was a particularly strong place where I felt there was also a civilization, whether it was the same as the Atlantean civilization or whether it was around at the same time, and that there was an ancient civilization off ancient India. And I feel, and I've made another video on the site years ago.
And remember, it's all based on feelings. It's not that he knows there was a civilization. It's not that he can prove it's a civilization. Well, I just feel there was a civilization there. You know, my feelings are very important, and we shouldn't disagree them, especially since I picked up my magic pin to determine whether this was true, and I saw all these images. Please believe me. We don't give a damn about your feelings, bro. We want evidence.
That one of the feelings I felt is that if you draw a line
too much I from feel, exactly my words, exactly, William. Too much I feel, not enough I know. Exactly, because he doesn't want to be tied down to I know. If he ties himself down to I know, then he has to be held accountable for what he says. So he doesn't want to know. He wants maybe. He loves maybe. Dear Greg, I would like a husband 240 pounds and more and be able to fix a car. Exactly. Greg, I would like to find the gold from the Wild Wild West. Wouldn't, right? Shit. No joke, Francisca. Do you know what's so amazing is the fact that if you actually found, and I'm not kidding, if you actually found ancient Western bills that said thousands of dollars back then, shit, that shit is worth millions, possibly billions now. So as much as it was worth back then, dude, it's triple now. He was never held accountable for that hairline. I know that much. Nope, he won't.
All the way up to the sacred mountain of Kailash. That along that line, I feel there are sacred energy points, some of which we've forgotten. But if we've forgotten where these ancient energy points, how do you know they're there? Oh, that's right. You don't know they're there. You just feel that they're there. You feel the power of feelings. Am I right, guys? Extend it south into the sea. We would follow that line. But if we extend it south into the sea,
south,
we would.
I'm not going to lie. When he said that, exactly. Fuck your feelings, respectfully. Exactly. Please help me develop a force field protection from the unenlightened, right? Back, you unbelievers, back. The coffee of Greg repels you. Anyway, how did he not lose? How did he not know he would lose his hairline, right? I guess he just felt that he didn't need the hair. um, but seriously, when he said south, I thought he said something else. He needs to work on that S. Nah, academic, don't put respectfully. We're gonna stand on that on the fuck his feelings. That's exactly right, Grant. That's exactly right, Williams.
Follow that line. If we followed that line carefully, we would find the remnants of the ancient Kamari Kandam. It's there.
So he's telling us. So he's telling us that in order for us to find the Kamari Kingdom, we have to go up some ancient path, follow some forgotten spiritual energy, and then if we go far enough, we're gonna reach that ancient civilization. Well, Craig, I know your forgetful ass probably don't remember this, but you just showed us an image of this supposed Kamari Kingdom, and that was literally off the coast of India. So I don't understand how you can be so confident that the Kamari Kingdom was located off of the coast of India, then tell us that we have forgotten the ancient spiritual path, and if we go further along the line, we will find it right there. I mean, bro, do you know where it is or do you not know where it is? This man traced one of those maps from the restaurant with a crayon and said, that's a kingdom. Ah, Williams, you know to hit where you know to hit it where it hurts. Because come on, we've all grown up watching that. We've all grown up with a happy kids meal and literally seeing a freaking crayon freaking map and saying that's a kingdom. We've all had that childhood. I don't think anybody in this room can say they don't remember those Happy Meal crayon things that we ate at Burger King as kids. Everybody has to have done that at some point.
I feel like there's like a huge Shiva lingam.
It looked like a map you would find at a kid's Happy Meal. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We've all seen that kid's Happy Meal crayon stuff when we were kids. That's I got to be honest with you. Joking aside, that's one of the things that I, as a philosopher, really, because I'm very Socratic and I love education, and one of the things that I've always loved is how, if you really think about it, even though we all live completely different, separate lives, there are certain things, regardless if you grew up in Michigan or California or wherever, there are just certain things like a kid's Happy Meal that we can all relate to. That, you know what? I had this going on. I was going with this growing up. I experienced this. I seen those Happy Meals and whatever. And it's like, how cool is it to know that no matter how far the generation where you're talking to or where they were located or whatever, there's just certain things like a Happy Meal that we can all relate to having growing up. I think 40% of his channel sub for the entertainment. I could actually agree, because you got to admit it is entertaining. Bullshit, but it is entertaining.
Gam under the sea. Now I can't prove that. Nobody's found that, but this is one of them. Gam under the sea.
Wait a minute. Listen to what he just said here.
Like a huge Shiva Kamari Kandam. It's there. I feel the ancient Kamari Kandam. It's there. I feel like there's like a huge.
He said right there, an absolute. It's there. But watch what he says later.
I can't prove that. Nobody's found that, but this lingam under the sea. Now I can't prove that. Nobody's found that, but this is one of.
So he went from saying Nelson from The Simpsons would have stuffed him in a locker, right? Now he went from saying that that the Kamari Kingdom is there because we have to follow an ancient path and we've forgotten some ancient spiritual points or whatever. Then he literally changed his whole tune and said, I can't prove that. Nobody has found that. How do you go from it's there to I can't prove that, nobody's found that? Greg, buddy, you need your coffee is slipping. You need to either stop. Like you can't go from it's there to I can't prove that. Either it's there and because you know it, or it's not there because nobody has proved it. It's it's there in his mind, right? That's the only place it exists. Yeah, if the subs were paying were paying like that, he wouldn't be pushing merch in the PayPal so hard, right? He's struggling in the economy.
The things that I have felt about this. And I think the danger is also with this psychic sort of insights is that, you know, too many people can get carried away by fantasies. I mean, I remember.
No, really? Talking about some fantasy kingdoms you never saw, telling us we could find it in some spiritual points, and that we've, by the way, forgotten, and we're going to feel the presence of ancient masters that we don't see anymore. We're really going to get carried away with fantasy? No.
I remember being given a message by a medium.
Pretty much. It's very, pretty much. He went from saying it's there. He went from saying it's there to, oh, it's nobody can prove it. It hasn't been found. So it's like it's there, guys, but nobody can prove it. It hasn't been found. You can't say both at the same time. Start with yourself, Greg. Exactly. Well, I know. I know. Well, I do a channel and just say anything, right? He's Timu Ang from the Avatar Lost Airbenders. Williams, you should have been here earlier, bro. He even said it himself. He said, I can prove, but no one's found it yet. Right. And the thing is, dude, Williams, earlier he was actually talking about avatars, bro. I wish you had been there at that moment. It would have been so glorious. He literally said shit about the avatars, saying avatars of ancient civilization, of ancient teachers are now avatars of spiritual temples. And I was saying, look, the avatar is talking about avatars.
And we were talking about this, that, you know, oh, you were a gardener in Atlantis. Me and my friend looked at each other and said, well, you know, I don't think we can disprove that.
Wait.
Oh, you were a gardener in Atlantis. And we were talking about this, that, you know, oh, you were a gardener in Atlantis. Me and my friend looked at each other and said, well, you know, I don't think we can disprove that.
We don't have to disprove it. You have to prove it. See, this is what these manipulators do. They always say this bullshit of like, oh, well, we can't disprove that. Bro, we don't have to disprove what hasn't been established. That's the thing. All these sophists and pseudo intellectuals always say, "Oh, well, we can't disprove that," and it's like you have to prove it first. Don't presume fact before you've proven it to be a fact, you dummy. He's different for sure. Yes. Tomatoes. You're a gardener in an underwater city. Come the fuck on, Greg. Exactly. Fine, I'm a firebender. I'm a firebender who only knows about waterbending, since we're just gonna say anything. Oh, great. Al Williams, that is good. Bro, that was good. This is why I say you need to have your own YouTube. We give this guy -5 stars. Greg, what you drinking in that coffee? Oh, I love you guys. I love my audience. I changed my mind. Greg doesn't have 24 hours sober. What? Yeah, exactly. And also, you know, Williams brings up an excellent point. If you're a gardener in an underwater city, what are you growing, bro? What do you need? What do they need a gardener for? It's never going to run out of water.
He certainly can't prove it. He said it to my friend, you know, a gardener in Atlantis, you know. Yeah, well, yeah, okay. Maybe it's I don't think we can disprove Atlantis.
Wait.
Yeah, well, we certainly can't prove it. He said it. I don't think we can disprove that. We certainly can't prove it.
Right, you can't prove it. So why are you talking about like talking as if you just believe in anything, even when it's not been proven? If you can't prove it, then if you can't prove it, then you shouldn't argue that it's true because you can't disprove it. That's an oxymoron.
Said it to my friend, a gardener in Atlantis, Yeah, well, yeah, okay. Maybe, we can't prove it either way. And that's a problem.
So then why is it maybe? Craig, if this is bullshit. If you can't prove it either way, don't give it a maybe. There's no maybe if you can't prove it. If you can't prove it, it's false.
Isn't it? With this sort of thing, because it could be.
I'm not willing to take the $10 bet to find out. I'm just going to give you the $10, Miss Independent. Yes, what a horrible image. Oh, isn't wearing pants. Probably not. He's probably wearing a freaking tuga.
That people just get lost in fantasy, and I think some of the stuff that the psychics have said before, that I'm sure there's stuff there, but I worry that some of it gets a little bit embroidered in these there. But I worry that the psychics have said before, that I'm sure there's stuff there, but I worry that some of it gets a little bit embroidered in these ancient, an ancient place that we could fantasize on.
Yes, Craig, because you are literally one of them. You've been fantasizing about a Sahara lost city of Atlantis, which made no sense. Now you're talking about the Malamaiki, something whatever, ancient lost underwater kingdom. And you said you couldn't. You said you knew where it was if you followed the trail. Then you said we can't prove it. Now, and then you gave us a map of it. And now you're talking about, oh, well, I worry people are going to fantasize about it. You're the one showing them the shit to fantasize, bro. You literally gave them the kids' Happy Meal map to literally look at and say, yep, that's the city.
The truth will one day be revealed. But my feeling is that there has been, ancient things there from a long, long time ago that we have forgotten about. And we find it.
And this is, again, based on feelings, not what you actually know. And he's like, yeah, now we're talking about psychics. Exactly. He's just running out of stuff to talk about. Greg looks like a person who would loiter at a nude beach. Oh no. I'm not going to deny that he doesn't look. I'm not going to deny that, but at the same time, Miss Independent, why? Why, Miss Independent, why?
Also, not just in the Nardas, we find it in many of the ancient texts of ancient India.
Well, the hairless Neagle from the wild, Thornberries needs to stay off the Atlantic substances. The hairless Neagle from wild Thornberries needs to stay off the Atlantic substances. Oh, wow.
India. We find it in the Vedas, we find it in the Mahabharata, we find all through the ancient texts, many descriptions of ancient technologies, of the Naga people.
So now we're dealing with Naga people and ancient technologies, guys. Thanks for painting those right, academic. That's what I'm saying. But so guys, we've just let's look at the record we've gone so far. He went from talking about the lost city of Atlanta and trying and failing to say that we were that it was in the Sahara Desert, and then he went from, no, Francisca, it's actually two different kingdoms he's talking about. For the first half, he was talking about this lost city of Atlanta and why he thinks it was somehow in the Sahara Desert. Then during this whole weird transformation shit, he transferred to talking about a different civilization that he claims was off the coast of India called Malamaka, something of that other. So it's not the same thing as Atlantis, but it's basically the same idea, a lost civilization where he thinks he knows where it was at. And I know, and I don't blame you. It's hard to keep track of what he's saying. Like, I'm going through mental hoops just trying to retain what he's saying because it's just so nonsensical. But that's what he's saying. He's no longer talking about Atlantis. He's talking about this new city that I've never heard of, that he painted a happy kids meal out of to say he knows where it is but can't prove where it is. Hey, Jay the Informant, good to see you, man. It's a whole bunch of nonsense.
Like the snake-like people. There was a difference of the Naga people, like the snake-like people.
And now he's trying to tell us that snake-like people. Oh God, Jay the Informant. Bro, I'm dealing with Greg, the Coffee with Greg, the psychic from the UK, and I did a previous live stream with him. But we're just going over all this madness from this crazy person, and he's a total scammer, man. He's got a Patreon page, a whole lot of stuff, and he's just a scammer, a major psychic scammer. But he literally just said, if you guys are paying attention, the Naga people, snake-like people. He's trying to tell us the Naga people were real. Listen to this.
We found all through the ancient texts, many descriptions of ancient technologies, of the Naga people, like snake-like people. There was
the Naga people, snake-like people. Have you ever met a snake-like person calling themselves a Naga? Have you ever heard that in history class? Okay, kids, today we're going to look at page 389. The Naga people, snake-like people with venomous fangs and that laid eggs and what have you. Anybody ever heard that? The Naga people. He looks like the scientist from Futurama. Yes, he does.
A different time.
Professor Farnsworth. Snake-like people. Yeah, he claims that the Naga were real people. The Naga people, Rosetta. Naga people. I heard of people who act like snakes, right? But he's taking a step further. He's saying they were snake-like people.
The Naga people, like the snake-like people. There was a different time.
Snake-like people. So he's talking about people that look human but have snake biology. Okay.
When things were very different, when people had spiritual powers. And when I went to some of the temples.
Now, apparently, some point in history, we had supernatural powers. Bro, you know how cool that would have been? The supernatural powers. Man, I guess people in the ancient times were levitating people, reading their minds. They must have had it rocking back then. I know where I've seen him before. He was on the one of the elders in Star Trek. Yeah, I know he's Picard.
In India, and I spoke to the villagers and said, how on earth did they get that stone on top of that building? Oh, sir, it is all done by levitation. They used to do it by levitation.
And you believe that bullshit? Like, Greg, what seems more likely? That people just had supernatural powers and yep, go subscribe to that channel, guys. And let me just think about this. I was one of the Red Rangers in Power Rangers. Right. And so let's think about this, guys. Which seems more likely? People had supernatural powers and they just levitated rocks on shit? Or the people literally invented polysystems, captured other people, enslaved them, and said, your asses are going to build that goddamn monolith or we'll kill you? Which seems more realistic in the human condition? I'm just going to levitate people, rock, Shazam! Or, hey, guys, there's all these weak people in the other village over, and there's all this work we don't want to do. Hey, let's capture a few of them. Just saying. Which seems more likely people to do? Enslave and then force other people to do the hard work, or literally mind bend their work into existence? Just saying. Levitation. Okay.
Well, maybe. The scientists would say, oh, that. Well, maybe. The scientists would say, oh, that's a load of bunk. But then they say telepathy's a load of bunk. And I know
Telepathy is a load of bunk. You can't, there's no such thing.
telepathy's real because it happens all the time. Then they say telepathy's a load of bunk. And I know telepathy's real because it happens all the time. They say, oh, clairvoyance is a load of bunk. Well, tell me. I've spent a lot.
What evidence do we have? Wait a minute. What evidence do we have that telepathy is real? You're doing bunk activity, Greg. This is all bullshit. Where have we ever heard of telepathy happening in real life? When has that ever happened? And he's saying like, oh well, telepathy is real, so therefore, telepathy is real, so telekinesis should be real too. And I know clairvoyance is real, bro. None of that is real. Like, I can agree that the brain is a wonderful tool, and you can have realizations, and hindsight is 2020. But that's not clairvoyance. That's literally just human synapses firing, and it's basic human psychology. Hey, we make mistakes, we think about it, and we're like, in hindsight, that we could have done something different. But this is nonsense. They're all gonna laugh at you, Craig. Exactly. Greg, get off the damn drugs. Exactly. Every psychic who became famous has been exposed as a scammer. Exactly, because they are scammers.
Lifetime proving otherwise. And to me, it is absolutely 100% that we can talk about the future, but we can also do things like mediumship, in which we can communicate with the spirit world, and we can have all.
You can do whatever you want, but that doesn't mean what you're doing is real. Okay, you say you can talk to the spirits. Cool. You do the but that ain't gonna prove that you're actually tapping into anything. You can't prove clairvoyance, you can't prove telepathy, and you damn sure can't prove telekinesis. All you can prove is that you're a damn liar.
All sorts of incredible insights, like the psychometry I spoke about. So you dismiss all that, then why are you going to dismiss psychokinesis? They say, oh, it's all spoon bending like Uri Geller. But who knows what we're capable of? I think,
Well, that's the thing, though, Greg. You play this game of like, well, who knows? Maybe it's real, but you yourself admit you can't prove it. I'm going to make my own psychic channel and call it the Chi T with. Oh, wow. You know what? Actually, Miss Independent, that would actually be pretty cool if there was a quote unquote psychic channel that in reality was all about proving how psychic shit isn't real. I could actually see that as a very clever gimmick of where you say, join me on the psychic channel, and then very quickly it becomes apparent you're proving every psychological trick that the psychics make is not real, and that every thing that they do is all smoke and mirrors. I could actually see someone like you doing that. Can I get some Powerball numbers, please? Right? We have spiritual powers, so he said telepathy was real, so why can't I read people's minds and get the Powerball numbers?
People like myself and others out there that have the psychic gifts and the gifts of the spirit. I mean, who knows how far we could dig? We've only got the smattering of it, really, with our power.
I mean, you say we have all this potential, but you'll follow it up with maybes and say, well, I can't prove that. So kind of hard to take someone serious when they're constantly on the verge of maybe, oh, I didn't say that. Oh, well, maybe it could be, maybe it was true. I don't know what, guys. Help me suss out the information. Kind of hard to trust someone with that level of uncertainty. Am I right?
Satya Sai Baba materialized Vibhuti right in front of my eyes, for example. And
he'll say, I'll answer him for you. He'll say, you'll meet him when you meet him. It could be somewhere in 2028, 2029, or 2030. But you know what? You'll know him when you see him. He can't even pre-promotion. I'm about to shove my foot up his ass. Psychic gifts. You're a psychic who shouldn't you know how far we can get Captain Dipped? Oh, I love reading Williams's comments every time. How far we can go, Captain Dip. Oh yeah, soon, maybe later. Exactly. You actually make me remind me of a funny story. So I had a friend who whose mom would always tell him who raised him up to believe in and who raised him up to I had a friend who actually believed in something like this, and at one point, he actually wanted to know who his girlfriend was, and the people around him would just say, "Oh, they will be this, they will be that," and I would just be saying all the time, like, "Dude, that's bullshit. There's no way they can know that." But he just believed it, and of course, it never happened. So something like that you're describing, Miss Independent, actually happened in my life, not to me, but to somebody else. And about being told that their loved one was going to be this or that, and then it never happened.
I've spoken to people in seances and things where things have materialized, sensible people, you know. And of course, there could be actual physical proof out there as well, because Graham Hancock, the historian, who is always go and look up all his videos, because he talks about the lost civilization theory.
Wait a minute. I thought the argument was, who knows? Now it's back to, well, there could be evidence out there. So, bro, you're at every spectrum. You're on the spectrum of, how do we know that we can't do this? We know that we could do this, and now you're back into, well, I can't prove it, but there may be some proof out there. Who knows? It's like, bro, you're on every side of the fence, and you're switching your story up so many times.
And he has popularized the idea that an advanced civilization may have existed before the end of the last ice age. Perhaps.
Wait, before the end of the ice age? Before? Bro, do you understand what an ice age was? Assuming humans were there, they would be covered in sheet and snow and ice. There would be no advanced civilization. Hell, there wouldn't even be writing back then. I don't think so. I'm still waiting for all the conflicts to come scorching hurt in 2026, right? Guaranteed this guy is copying the person's material he's referencing. Facts. 100% facts. In fact, you know what? I'll even go so far as to say he's mentioning all these people just to give his shit substance. Oh, it's not just me. Famous historian this, theologian that. Typical what is that fallacy called? There's a fallacy that's called for that. What is it called? Authority argument. An argument based on authority fallacy. That's what it's called. Spoken to people in seances, dude. They are gone. Why would they want to speak to the living? Exactly. Exactly. Because, I mean, think about it, guys. Now, we all have our opinions about the afterlife and things like that, but just ask us this one question. Hypothetically, if you were still retained your personality after death, are you going to be focusing on the planet Earth and governing it and spying on it or whatever, or would you be focused on other things? To me, it seems more logical that somebody who's not here anymore wouldn't have any concern about the Earth. I mean, that's just my take on it. A psychic who's not confident in and he says is like a pencil sharpener that's not confident about sharpening pencils. Exactly. And the question becomes, if you can't sharpen pencils, what good are you?
Damaged or destroyed by a cataclysm of some sort, with survivors spreading the knowledge around the world.
I had to get some water. I was laughing too hard. The chat is off the chain. I know. That's why I love it.
Now, I don't necessarily want to present all of Graham Hancock's ideas as proven archaeology. I think he would also agree there's a long way to go before we can prove it.
But you want to steal his work in order to put word of mouth into supporting what you're saying. You do want to do that, but you don't want to go too far with it. How moral of you.
because I know many mainstream archaeologists have strongly dispute his claims. But he's asked important questions, and we are ultimately beginning to understand that ancient peoples weren't quite just a load of grunts, as I said. They were very intelligent people.
And as I've said, we've come to understand that, but there's a nuance to the understanding of how intelligent they were. The notion that ancient people are barbaric, stupid people that just did stupid things, yeah, that's long been debunked, and it's not what people think anymore. But you have to understand that how far their intelligence went was not to the extent that we have it today. Ancient people, many of which went their entire lives without reading a book, many of them, went entire lives believing in deities and supernatural things that couldn't be verified, and had no science, had no formal education, no institutional education, much less. They didn't have the tools to really investigate the things that they thought about, and largely believed in fallacies and things that we long today can say is not true. So were they intelligent for their time? Yes. Does that intelligence equal the same amount of intelligence that we consider to be educated today? No. And that's not an insult to them to say that.
Stories in the Nadi oracles talk about civilizations that went back tens of thousands of years.
He's the old version of Doria the Explorer asking monkey-ass questions just to get his subs to answer. That's so fucked up, Williams. I love it. Craig, as the only survivor from the Ice Age, has now jumped out of his hypersonic chamber to share the history. I know, right? I know. Academic, I know. I love to laugh. Hey, I love to laugh too.
Years, and they can say, well, that's just a load of fortune-telling leaves, but it's not. Those of you that have had this know what an astonishing piece of proof it is. And
what proof? What proof?
But it's not those, and they can say, well, civilizations that went back tens of thousands of years, and they can say, well, that's just a load of fortune-telling leaves, but it's not. Those of you that have had
it is fortune-telling leaves, though, because you literally called them the naughties. You literally said the leaves are over 200 years old and their writings change all by their own, and the naughty leaves tell you what you're going to be at. Now you're trying to tell us, well, it's not all a bunch of leave telling and what have you, but that's literally what you painted it as. And now you're trying to get mad at us calling it bunk, but it is bunk.
This, no, what an astonishing piece of
exactly. What proof? Give advice while scratching armpit. He's scratching because he needs a bath. Exactly.
Proof it is. And even
actually, you know what, Miss Independent? What he should have done is instead of just spending thousands of years in that hyperchamber, he should have taken advantage of the Ice Age and taken a dip.
The leaves have been dated to being 500 years old, and we know they're copied and copied and copied and copied over the centuries, and could be very, very ancient indeed. And so, so he talks about the fact that there was, 5,000 years ago, there was the Younger Dryas, for example. This is an asteroid impact, and that hit what he theorizes was a great wall of ice in Canada that separated a huge sea of water from the melting ice of the Ice Age, and it kind of broke the dam and raised the waters of the oceans of the world massively. It's like suddenly dropping the whole of an ocean into another ocean, and it rose, sunk places.
Dropping the ocean into another ocean. That doesn't even make sense.
The areas of the world.
Right. Canada existed back in the Ice Age, right. Craig has been around the world. I know, right?
Maybe even flooded ancient Sumeria would be another way of looking at it. Maybe flooded the ancient civilizations of India. Maybe also sunk the Dogger Bank. I mean, all of these. There was another area off.
This is 19 Keys' grandfather. I know. Ocean into the ocean. I know. How do you sink? How do you throw an ocean into the ocean? I don't understand how that makes any sense. What does this have to do with the limit, bro? Miss Independent, I hear you, but that's the thing. Greg has long since passed the talking of Atlantis. He's going off on a tangent of so many other different things you wouldn't believe. I know it is an ocean thrown into another ocean. Like that is stupid. It doesn't even make sense. It's already an ocean. You can't throw an ocean into an ocean. Oh man, I never heard of that. An ocean into an ocean. I never heard anyone say that to me before.
Perhaps these didn't happen at the same time. Perhaps these were multiple floods.
Wait, let's go back.
Sunk the Dogger Bank. I mean, all of these. There was another area off. Perhaps these didn't happen at the same time. Perhaps these were multiple flood events that we'd seen with the melting of the ice and the ice age. Some gradual, some sudden. There certainly seems to have been one big sudden one. I mean, when you.
So are you? But Greg, that can't be both at the same time. Are you arguing that it was one giant one or a series of waves? Because it can't be both.
Look back to.
Also, I hope you understand that even if we don't agree with the theology or believe in, or if we don't all believe in the Noah's Ark story, like again, I certainly don't. It would have been in a time period long past the Ice Age. So I don't understand this logic, because you're trying to say this happened in the Ice Age and an asteroid hit the wall of an iceberg in Canada, and then you're trying to tell us, well, maybe this was connected to the Noah's Ark because it was a series of floods. Noah's Ark would happen thousands of years. Well, maybe not 1,000. Yeah, well, at least a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 years after the Ice Age ended. So the two couldn't have any connection with each other.
I mentioned Stonehenge and Avebury Ring recently a minute ago.
Let me throw ice cubes at an iceberg, Craig. You're a dumbass. Greg is aging in front of us, but yeah, that one was good. Let me throw ice cubes at an iceberg, Craig. You're a dumbass. Yeah, and he is aging in front of us.
When we look into what is now the Dogger Bank, where all the fish are in the North Sea, that was all raised above water. It's proven, we know it now, that you could pretty much walk from East Anglia right the way to Norway. And that whole area was another area, a bit like I've described in the Sahara, which was an area of lakes and landscape, that part land, part water, that you could walk around.
Okay, he's literally trying to argue about the Pangean theory of like where, all at one point all the plate tectonics were connected, loosely connected to each other. I hope Greg understands that the Pangean theory, again, long after, even by the Ice Age, the continents had already broken up by the Ice Age. So this connection that he's talking about did not exist by the time of the Ice Age or Noah's Ark or anything of that nature. He does not have a good concept of human history.
And there's a theory out there at the moment that's just recently
he is struggling
in the news that says that the sacrificial stone in Stonehenge, they reckon came from Scotland. But they said, how did they drag it all the way from Scotland all the way to the south of England? It's a long way. It's a massive stone to drag too far, too big to put on boats. How did they do it? Well, some say now that was pushed along by the glaciers. That maybe the glaciers had actually deposited it. But the
glaciers. Oh, first off, it's not glaciers; it's glaciers, and that is completely unsupported. You don't have any evidence that this great stone was moved by glaciers from Scotland to England, which, by the way, for this to be true, you'd have to be arguing they're under the water, but they're underwater at this time for that to be true.
The movement of the glaciers would have put that stone not in the south of England because of the way the ice would have shifted. Would have
Exactly. He's merging all these timelines together. Yeah, right? He's merging all these timelines together and he's trying to make sense of it. There's no sense to this.
dropped it probably onto the Dogger Bank. Now, the Dogger Bank would have been the last remaining island of the Doggerland area, which they've already found.
Doggerland. You hear that, guys? Doggerland. We're talking about Doggerland. We went from Atlantis, Noah's Ark, Stonehenge. Now we're talking about Nagaland. Is that where the Naga people live? The Nagaland and Nagalese? Like, this all sounds like a bunch of made-up bullshit. Thank you, Francisca. Thank you. I don't know what that is, Nagaland. I never heard of that. It sounds like a theme park. Come on down to Nagaland. Hold up. Sorry about that, guys. There was just I don't know if you could I don't know if you could feel it or hear it, but there was just some thump, 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 thump. Oh, it's a place in India. So sorry about that, guys. It was just a big thump, 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 like someone was knocking on my door. Greg is a mess. Yes, 100% he is.
Artifacts for that. So maybe an island, which is what today's Dogger Bank.
I went to college.
Stone,
right?
And then they could move, which is what today's Dogger Bank, had the sacred stone, and then they could move and ship the sacred stone from there to Stonehenge. There's just another theory. So it could be even the Doggerland.
And here we go. It's just another theory. He goes on this rant and rant to make you feel like this actually happened. And then he reveals it's nothing more than a theory. So he builds up all this tension, builds up all this rigmarole to make it sound so confident. And then he lands it with, well, it was just a theory. Sorry, guys, it's just a theory that I have. But it sounds plausible, right? No, bro. If you're just going to talk to us about a theory, meaning something that, well, first off, he's misrepresenting what's called a theory. A theory is something that you actually have to know is true to a degree. An actual theory is something you actually know to be true. So, for example, gravity is called a theory because we know gravity is real, but we don't know everything about it. So we call it a theory. But it's still a real phenomenon. Gravity is a real phenomenon. So for Greg to keep throwing around theory, even though he's just speculating, that's disingenuous. If you're going to call it a theory, it has to be based on something real and observable, not on something that you just say or think might be true, or in Greg's words, feel that it's true. Man, we need coffee with Greg Wednesdays twice a month. Right?
Was another story from ancient Atlantis. And even further back, and we're talking a long way back, there was the times when the Mediterranean flooded. I mean, how long does human memory go back? Or even
exactly. Theory is fact and research based. Exactly.
Less further back than that, when the Black Sea broke through the waters of the Mediterranean broke through to form the Black Sea. I mean, do we have human memories of that time? So all of these floods.
What the fuck would it matter if we have human memories of it or not? We need evidence that it's there, that it did happen. We don't base history and science and what we know based on human memory. Human memory is notoriously unreliable. I hope you know that, Greg.
Stories are there, and maybe it's just not one flood story. Maybe there's multiple flood stories, and they've all been written down. And
what do you mean? Maybe Oh my God, he forgot already. Bro, Craig, you literally just told us. I don't know, Miss Independent. I don't know. But Craig, what do you mean maybe there was multiple floods? You literally just gave us a story about how an asteroid smashed into an iceberg that was in Canada and how it flooded everywhere and that it caused the ocean to fall an ocean to fall into an ocean and how multiple waves happen everywhere. And you said that with such confidence. Now you're going back to maybe there were multiple floods. Now he's saying, but now he's saying, oh my God. Now, how do you go from, I don't understand this. How do you go from completely confident to, and saying this is what we theorize, this is what this historian has said, and blah, 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 to, oh, well, I don't know. Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. We can't prove it. How do you go from that? I don't understand. A lot of people, they go from, being completely confident and from start to finish. But this guy goes from completely confident to, I'm not sure, maybe it's a theory, don't hold my word to it. And it's like, bro, you don't start with confidence and end in maybe. Greg, stop. Greg is becoming very forgetful. He is. This is live action dementia. It really is, because people, they don't go from, you don't go from confident to maybe unless you know what you're saying is bullshit. You go, if you're confident and you know the information you're trying to tell people, you will stay confident from start to finish. Now, can you still be wrong? Yeah. But at least if you're confident from start to finish, we know you're not just saying it to say it. You actually think it's true. What this tells me, Greg, is you don't believe in your own bullshit.
Been passed along by, we've seen ancient civilizations come and go. And it makes you wonder, and particularly since the climates of the world change every 20,000 years dramatically because of the shift of the Earth's tilt, we start to see some.
Well, first off, you started off talking about the tilt by calling it a wobble effect, as if the planet wobbles because it's tilted on. He didn't even say tilted on his axis. he literally says, he literally said in the beginning of this, all the way back, if you guys care to remember, that when instead of describing the Earth being tilted on his axis, he says that the Earth was wibbly. He called it wibbly. And I didn't understand that because there's no platform for the planet to stand on to wibble. And now he's trying to say that the continents change locations because the Earth's tilted on its axis. No, it actually changes because of plate tectonics, which constantly shift and move, albeit in a very slow manner. So it takes a long time for us to even notice that it happens. But he's confusing the Earth being tilted on its axis to the Earth to the shifting of whatchamacallit, to the shifting of continents, which is done by plate tectonics, not the Earth being tilted on its axis. Like, dude does not understand science.
Some areas become green again, some areas dry up again. We're seeing many changes in our own environment at the moment through what we say is man-made climate change, but there's also these huge climate changes, and also there's
a lot of it is actually caused by humans, particularly the modern advances that we do, like gasoline, a lot of bad shit. Some of it is natural though, and I'm looking at that picture. Some of it is natural though, but the thing is that it's not happening because the Earth is tilted on its axis. That's what we can. That's why we can explain weather pattern changes and such like that. But the Earth being tilted on its axis, which he doesn't even pronounce it right, is not the sole reason we're having issues, or why the Earth. It's not the reason why continents change. It's not why we're going to bring it back to dry up and what have you. Well, to a degree it might, because we're talking about the Earth being tilted on its axis and weather patterns, but the level of which he's describing it to is just unreal. Cut him some slack. You know his teacher of school was Mary Poppins. I know, I know, I know.
There's indications of meteorite impacts around those. There's an element called tritonite, I think it's called, which is a sort of a burnt glass that comes from a meteor impacts. We look at the moon.
Burnt glass. Wait a minute. He literally said burnt glass? Where is he getting this idea of burnt glass? Oopsies. Where is he getting this idea of burnt glass? I'm lost. I am truly lost now. Where is he getting this idea of burnt glass? I never heard of anybody talking about a meteorite and saying that's why we have burnt glass. I've never heard of that.
And it's covered in craters. We're lucky because most of it gets pushed into Jupiter, but sometimes.
Oh yes, please save me from the glass that the meteorite's happening. First of all, this has nothing to do with glass. What he's talking about is the fact that, and this is actually a true phenomenon, that certain times of the year, if I'm remembering it correctly, because I researched this myself, that sometimes the asteroid belts, some asteroids do come to our direction periodically throughout the year. However, Jupiter, for whatever reason, tends to actually protect us from the asteroids that come hurtling our way. That's because mind you guys, I will be completely honest, it's been a long time since I looked it up myself, but essentially from what I remember of researching, it's basically periodically asteroids do come to our direction, but Jupiter winds up protecting us, or no, I think it was the opposite. Jupiter accidentally sometimes sends asteroids our way. I think that's what it was. Yeah, and essentially, yeah. So I was actually misremembering. It's actually that Jupiter unintentionally sends asteroids our way, and I don't remember too much about it, but essentially it's like something around it kind of causes it to happen, but also protects us at the same time. But either way, but it's not like what he's talking about of we're getting protected by burnt glass or something like that. Oh my God! Just to try to explain this nonsense. I couldn't be in this chat. Be in his chat, they would block me. I know. Exactly, and he is definitely absent from class when they thought geography. Exactly. I think he's having a stroke in real time. I feel like I'm having a stroke just trying to explain the scientific nonsense he's talking about.
Is hit the Earth. It may be much more common than we think. When we see about stories in the Bible like Sodom and Gomorrah, in which the whole city is destroyed, and if you look at it, Lot's wife will turn to a pillar of salt, something that might happen if you were.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna suddenly turn into a pillar of salt. That's gonna happen to me. Okay. Hey guys, it was wonderful being your host, but you gotta just remember, I might turn into a pillar of salt. I might say something negative, and God might get so mad at me for what I said that I just become a pillar of salt. Yeah. And oh, by the way, stay out of Sodom and Gomorrah, because they've got all those people in the city doing the nasty, and they'll do the nasty to you as well. I forgot that a city could function without a government, without an economy, and just spend all day humping each other. I forgot. I forgot that humans don't need to eat. I forgot humans don't need a government. I forgot humans don't need an economy. They can just spend all day rumping and humping. Okay.
Burnt by flames in a sudden way. There's so many mysterious stories there as well.
That's not really mysterious when you can clearly tell it was bullshit.
So my impressions are that there was multiple civilizations that were like this, and that I really do strongly.
No, there was. First he said the Bible was hogwash, and now Sodom and Gomorrah is real, right? And I don't think he really knows what the story of Sodom and Gomorrah was, because if he did, he wouldn't be so openly saying, yeah, I think plenty of other cities were like Sodom and Gomorrah. You do realize you're saying that entire cities were built up just to rump and hump unexpected people. I hope you know that's what you're saying, Greg. Not only do I not believe there was one, it all happens everywhere, yes, but to the point to where it's an entire city and a cultural way of life, no. And I don't believe that happened in even one city. I think Sodom and Gomorrah is hogwash. But even if I didn't, the idea that it happened everywhere, no.
Feel that, much as science wants to poo-poo anything paranormal, we're going to end up in a world of superstition if we study that, but
it's not that we don't study it. That's actually the opposite, Greg. It's because we study the supernatural that we quickly poo-poo it, because we quickly come to the conclusion of this doesn't apply to what we know in the real world. Therefore, to endorse what we can confirm is not true or can't confirm is true would be a world of superstition. I mean, imagine for a moment you lived in a world where, people will say you should definitely throw salt over your back or you'll crack your mama's back because they, or no, it was step on. Imagine if we lived in a world where everyone genuinely believed if you stepped on a crack, you broke your mom's back, and then suddenly your mom, calls you and says she broke her back, and then you remembered, oh man, I stepped on at least 3 cracks. It's my fault. Imagine if we lived in a world like that, because nobody bothered to investigate, is there any actual physical examples of people's backs breaking because you stepped on a crack? He's trying to say, well, if we poo-poo it, science doesn't want to explore it because then we'll be in superstition for just simply exploring the idea. And then the reality is science explores the idea and quickly debunks it, because if you really think about it, it's nonsense.
We know that humans have miraculous powers. These psychic gifts are real, and you've got to be.
But wait, earlier you said that they weren't. Wait a minute. Before, you said there was a time in which we had telekinesis and all these other powerful abilities, and we don't got that no more. Now you're saying, oh yeah, we do have all these amazing abilities, and psychic abilities are real. So which is it, Greg? Was there an ancient time where we had supernatural powers and we don't anymore? Or do we still have supernatural powers? You can't have it both ways, buddy. I'm a female with psychic powers are so real. Why do we need Greg? Exactly. If everybody has supernatural powers, why if we all have psychological powers, why do we need Greg? We all got it. So logically speaking, at some point in our lives, we'd all unlock it. So why would we need him?
Really thick-skinned not to have experienced something like that really in your life too, because most people have had a psychic experience.
Oh, so we've all had a psychic experience. Okay, Rosetta. Okay, Williams. Okay, Miss Independent. Just remember, at some point in your life, you had a psychological, you had a psychic event happen to you. You don't remember it, you can't use it, and you can't see it, but it was there. And how do we know it was there? We just have to trust in the mighty word of Greg. Drink your coffee. And he would be redundant if this were true.
And I think they had this knowledge in the ancient past. And
we all had psychic experience, and now we are back to mush. Yeah, pretty much. That's the argument.
Idea of the actual physical location of Atlantis was in Sahara, which is the latest thing, is real or not, I don't know. Wait
a minute. Wait a minute. No, we're not going to let you get away with that one.
Idea of the actual physical location of the past, and psychic experience, and I think they had this knowledge in the ancient past. And idea of the actual physical location of Atlantis was in Sahara, which is the latest thing, is real or not, I don't know.
So you told us all this shit. Told us that you knew it was there, that you picked up a pin or a spear tip and you had all this image of a freaking lush green Sahara thing, and now after 2 hours of listening to you ramble, you're gonna say to us, well, actually, who knows if that physical location was real? That's just the latest. So you're trending this shit. You're literally saying this shit because it came on your feeds, the idea appealed to you, and now you made up all this mumbo jumbo to tell us about a theory of a Sub-Hara Atlantis city that you didn't really envision. It's just the latest in a trend of ideas that came across your feed. Damn. 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 360. Craig has come 360. Freestyle is confirmed. Exactly. It is a real. Is it real? If it's real or not, you don't know. What the fuck? Exactly. Craig, stop. Freestyle is confirmed. Exactly. Wow. Wow. Bro, why are you filming yourself saying this? I mean, it's one thing. I could understand this tactic if you're in a private room with a bunch of people and you know for a fact you're not being recorded, because then it's all hearsay and stuff. I understand that tactic, but why on earth of all things would you decide to record yourself saying this crap as if we can't rewind, as if we can't go back and analyze what you're saying, bro? This is where it gets really stupid, because your gimmick don't work when I can rewind and hear you more than once and detect that sudden hit'll. Well, who knows if what I said was real or not? It's like, you did. You said it was real. You did. And now the very guy giving me this information is like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's not. This is bullshit. Yeah, this is bullshit. That's all I can say at this point. This is bullshit.
Even the Nazis were seeking for the ancients' knowledges of Atlantis, which they sent. You know, I don't know if you know that they sent SS people into Tibet to try to find the ancient knowledge. They believed in another offshore sort of land in the Atlantic, which they didn't call Atlantis. I've forgotten the name they called it now. It's gone. Write it in the description.
Wait a minute. So they were looking for Atlantis, but they didn't call it Atlantis? Well, then they weren't looking for Atlantis then. If they were looking for something that had a completely different name, why would you say they were looking for Atlantis?
In the comments, guys, the ancient ideas, the Teutonic Knights were the remnants of Atlantis, and then there's the suggestion.
Teutonic Knights. What the hell is a Teutonic Knight? A knight that drinks tonics? I don't understand what that means. Teutonic Knight. Do I got to drink some ancient herbal medicine to initiate myself in the Teutonic knighthood? Whatever.
Question that some peoples have a different sort of genetic makeup, which could be the symbol of a sign of a lost genetic line, in particularly the.
Wait, what? What airline did you take? That's a very good question, Miss Independent. And also, here's what I'm wondering. Here's what I don't understand. How do you have evidence of genetics? How do you have evidence of genetics and then say that's evidence of a genetic line lost? First of all, where did you get your degree in genetics is the first question. Second of all, if you are a Catholic militia, and second of all, Teutonic on two separate nights. That was a good one, academic. So here's what I'm not understanding too. So here's what I'm not understanding. Here's my second question. If you have DNA of a lost evidence of a lost DNA lineage, how is it lost? Like, let's think about this for a minute. The only way you'd be able to know about DNA is if you could observe it. So if you could observe the supposed lost DNA, how is there proof that you lost DNA or lost lineage? That doesn't. It is. It has to be, because that doesn't make any sense. He has to be drinking some sort of like herbal or hallucinogenic medicine to come up with this crap. Because I'm not following, even if I'm ignoring the lack of empirical evidence, I'm not following the logic. How is DNA going to prove to you lost a DNA lineage? The word for the day is job. Greg, get a damn job. Exactly. Or a retirement home, something.
Basque people in between a lost genetic line, in particular the symbol of a sign of a lost genetic line, in particularly the Basque people in between Spain and France.
The Basque people? He literally said the Basque people.
In particularly the symbol of a sign of a lost genetic line, in particularly the Basque people in between Spain and France. I mean,
first of all, yeah, he's not good at this. First of all, that's not a there's no Spain and France are nationalities, dumbass. They're not different people. They're Homo sapiens. You literally just tried to say there was a lost genetic line between Spain and France. Spain and France are not different species, dum-dum. They don't have a lost genetic line. That would make sense if you were talking about like maybe if we were talking about yeah, like that would make sense if you were talking about a family or an individual who may have had a lost genetic lineage to someone in France. It makes sense then. It does not, however, make sense when you try to apply that to an entire group of people just by nationality. Oh, France. Oh, Spain. They're both Homo sapien, you dumbass. There's no lost genetic line there.
There's so much evidence out there, physical evidence, and yet I feel there was all.
Oh man, I agreed with you earlier when you said you get blocked so fast. The moment you point out all humans are Homo sapien, instant block. I could see that.
There's so much evidence out there, physical evidence, and yet France line, particularly the Basque people in between Spain and France. I mean, there's so much evidence out there, physical.
But I thought this lineage was lost. I'm confused now because he says there's so much evidence out there, but he told us that the lineage was lost. So I'm confused. Do we have evidence of the his background is odd, I know. And I'm confused, guys. Do we have evidence of these lost genetic boss people, or do we not have evidence of them? I'm confused. He found them in the dump bin. I know. Nap time for Greg. I know, right? It's way past his bedtime.
Evidence, and yet I feel there was also spiritual. There was something different, spiritual, and this is what we're going to rediscover again, because whenever
he has the psychic abilities of a glow-in-the-dark butt plug. I've been confused. I know. I think we're all confused by this.
Different spiritual, and this is what we're going to rediscover again, because whenever probably.
Time for the nurse to take Greg to his meds in bed. And yeah, his background is fake. Scammers don't have bedtimes, I know, right? They should, though.
Spiritual, and this is what we're going to rediscover again, because we'll never probably get to the bottom of it with Atlantis. Maybe one day, maybe when we.
we'll never get to the bottom of it. So you showing us a crater in which you tried to use as evidence all these images and all these claims and the sonance or whatever you called it to justify picking up an object to get a feel and see images back in the past. All of that is now not evidence anymore. It's now back to we can't prove it.
We go to the spirit world, we might be able to rerun the history of Earth.
What? No. You did not just say spiritual world.
Maybe when we go to the spirit world, we might be able to rerun the history of Earth, and I think we can do.
When we listen to what he just said, ladies and gentlemen, when we go to the spirit world, we'll be able to rewind the Earth's history. Well, first of all, I did not know that we're going to come back. I did not know we're still going to have our personalities when we go to the spirit realm. Second thing I didn't know they had internet back there and we could just play all of human history on a tape and just rewind. I didn't know that. Man, the spiritual world must have everything now. Maybe. Craig, you are wasting the fresh air, right? And he is very delusional. Like, you don't get any more delusional. Why do we need the spirit world when we have history? Exactly. I'm playing billiards with my little bro. I'm going to ask the bartender if he serves Teutonic. And if not, he better be educated. But I'm really literally, who tells you that? Hey, we can't prove it now, but maybe we'll prove it when we get into the spirit realm. You realize we'd have to be dead. So what he's saying is we're not going to know about the truth about anything until we're dead. And he's hoping on that. Why? Because then when we're all dead, we can't kick his ass. That's literally why he's hoping.
Do that. Well, so we might be able to know one day, each one of us. But I think it's really important also to see what can we draw from all this as well, because, I there's not a lot of archaeological proof to prove the powers of human mind. There's plenty of...
oh my God. Now, dig his ass up. Exactly, Williams. Oh, guys, but now listen to this. Listen to what he just said, because this contradicts what he said earlier.
To prove, there's not a lot of archaeological proof to prove the powers of human mind. There's plenty of...
He literally told us that there was plenty of evidence just a few minutes ago. And before that, he said with such confidence that there were ancient people who had ancient abilities like telekinesis and moving giant stones. Now he tells us, there's just not a whole lot of evidence to prove that we had supernatural abilities back then. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now there's no proof. Before there was proof. Now there isn't. Understand, we are now in the age of three tonic. He needs applesauce and a nap. Literally, how do you do this? How do you go from telling me for over an hour, oh, yes, there's plenty of proof, there's plenty of evidence, It's just that science doesn't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the things that would make us superstitious. Now it's, I never had any proof to begin with, We'll find out in the spirit realm. Dude! Bro, no. Why do we need proof when we are psychic? Exactly. That's his logic. He doesn't remember a word of what he said. How is he psychic? Exactly. Sorry for the bad grammar. My phone is rewriting all phrases. No problem, academic.
Written proof. But I think, but it's like I said, but my feeling is, my thoughts are that there's not one Atlantis, but there's a network. And it was a coastal.
Now there's multiple. Oh, dude. So now there's multiple Atlantises. I thought we couldn't prove the first one. Now there's multiple. And it's not just one Atlantis. There's many Atlantises, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just one, which we have no proof of. There's multiple of them. And he's going to tell us how there's so much evidence out there and spirit points and how we just got to keep searching, followed by, oh, get right, well, no one's found it yet. There's no proof. We can't disprove it. Clown.
Island centers connected by sea routes of some sort. It might even included the Antarctic. And I think it was there was that civilization was both scientific and spiritual.
Yep, it is now a network in Canada. And notice how he didn't say that the first time. He did not start this off with Atlanta is a network. He did not say that at all. He literally acknowledged it to be an island at first, then tried to convince us it's in the Sahara Desert, and now it's a network of islands. He played Mario Kart and bought a map to his audience. Next, he's going to describe a rainbow road.
Combined, something that we will hopefully strive towards again. Not technology in the modern sense, more like a sacred geometry, the understanding of astrology, sound, healing, crystals, temples, and
crystals, temples. Why would we go back to temples? What modern human wants to go back to temples? This is backwards. This isn't forward. He's literally saying, let's go backwards and we're going to go reach this area again in an ancient time we can't prove. I'm not talking about technology. I'm saying we're going to go back to sound waves and geometry and crystals and healing and what have you. And it's like, where do you get this nonsense from? How do you utter this bullshit with such confidence and then backtrack it all in the same time? That's a unique skill. That has to be a unique skill.
Consciousness itself. That's what I feel the ancient peoples had, and that's what I feel we've got to strive towards again. So that
if he goes back to, he won't have Wi-Fi to grift. I know, right? It reminds me of this one funny series I saw where the main villain was talking about because he was from ancient Egypt essentially, and he was trapped in a sarcophagus and came back in modern times, and one of his evil servants basically said, oh, we're going back to ancient Egypt. And you know what the dude said, which I can actually relate to? He said, what, back to a time before modern plumbing? Hell no. And I loved that. How he said he was like, he literally lived in ancient times, knew what it was like to not have a modern toilet or modern plumbing. And then he was like, and when he was laughing, oh, we going back, boss? No, we're not going back. They don't have no Wi-Fi there. They don't have no internet. They don't have no toilets. We ain't going back to that time. From skyscrapers to temples. Greg, do a favor. Do me a favor. Book a boat to the Sahara Desert. Right. From skyscrapers to temples.
We can bring science and spirituality together again. And
no, you can't. They were never aligned to begin with. When you did spiritual shit, you're talking about an unseen realm full of all types of bullshit you can't prove, souls, demons, what have you. When you're talking about science, you're dealing on planet Earth, buddy. You're dealing with pure, I'm observing, I'm looking, I'm only going by what I can physically touch, prove, and observe. Now, we're not even at a time where we have to our service members live that way, all live that way all across the seas currently. Right. Exactly. And the thing is too, damn, I forgot what my point was. Moving on.
And so the people of the past, I feel, were like priest scientists, people who understood the relationship between mind, matter, vibration, and the stars. And
I got to question any being that sent this pistachio head motherfucker to Earth to tell us anything. This is what I mean, Williams. You hit it right where it hurts. You know exactly what to say at all times.
People who understood the relationship between mind, matter, vibration, and the stars themselves.
Oh, not that vibration shit. Please, not that vibration shit. You guys hear him? The vibrations. I hate that vibration bullshit. That it's bad enough we have to deal with people talking about chakras, but you don't bring up the vibrations. That shit's beyond stupid. Oh, I got good vibrations. Cool. Your blood pressure still has to be a certain level or you won't be alive anymore. That vibration shit is ugh.
And I think there was, the story goes, from Plato, who was using it as an allegory of some sort, but that there's a sense of danger that comes from the misuse of spiritual power.
Oh, what's going to happen? I misused my spiritual power. Now I turned into a bucket of salt. Like, come on. What's going to happen? Oh, this is the Looney Tunes of what he's trying to tell us. Imagine one day you come home after a long day of work and your spouse, husband, wife, son, daughter, whatever, comes to you and says, Daddy, Mommy, I literally just misused my spiritual power. Now there's flooding in Chicago. Could you imagine anybody taking that seriously? That's the type of world we'd be living in if we listened to Greg. Next is going to be a vibratum straight from the killer manager's basement in Wakanda. Exactly.
Ego, control, and attempts to command natural forces were all sort of highlighted there. And I think what happened is it wasn't just one event, but a whole sequence of events: rising seas, earthquakes, volcanic activity.
Now he's back to giving this sequence of floods and what have you. Bro, move the fuck on. The flood isn't confirmed. Move on.
Tsunamis, cultural collapse, maybe multiple strikes from meteorites over long periods of time. And I think some of this knowledge...
Oh, yeah, Greg. Yeah, that's what happened. Oh, hey, Williams, you didn't pay me my $50, so I'm going to have to send you some meteorites your way. Can you imagine? Listen to that type of nonsense. Hey, everybody in the chat, you give me 50 likes, or by Monday, we're sending some meteorites against you. According to Greg, you can just launch them at will if you want to. He could have a better conspiracy thought channel if he dropped the Psychic Medium Act, right? He could. He definitely is a believer in he definitely makes up conspiracies.
Has been preserved in ancient Egypt, for example, all around the cultures of the world. And India in particular seems to preserve some of this memory through the rishis, through the temple alignments, through the mantras, through the Nadi traditions. And from my point of view, I feel you go to these places. That's why pilgrimages are so important.
I'll get right on that, Greg.
Important in our lives, that we go to these sacred places and we connect with that ancient energy. Not just me, but all of us can connect.
What does he think we are? Light bulbs? We're just going to go to an ancient place and plug ourselves in and connect to the spiritual realm. It's like he's turning this supposed spiritual realm into a Wi-Fi zone. Oh, you have to go to the ancient places, otherwise the signal's too weak. Sir, does the British government know you're telling people this rubbish? I know, right? Ancient Wi-Fi, and honestly, we really got to think about it, man. When you really listen to them talking about humans and say we're all connected to this consciousness and we all have to connect with one another, don't they turn us into light bulbs? This is light bulb activity. I gotta plug myself in to be connected to the spiritual realm. So I'm either a light bulb or I'm a plug. That's what these spiritualists and supernatural scammers reduce the human to: a plug and a light bulb.
With that ancient energy. And I think the real question is not just about whether Atlantis was real or not. The deeper questions is, are we becoming Atlantis again?
Why would we ask if we're becoming Atlantis again if we haven't established that Atlanta is real in the first place? This is like telling me, do I think I'm becoming an ancient civilized a Roman again? And well, no. Let me give a better example. This is like asking me if I'm going to be an alien again. And it's like, well, how did I know I was an alien in the first place? If I can't establish that I'm an alien in the first place, how could I become an alien again? Or if not, let's say asking yourself if you're going to become a cop again, right? And if you have no memory of being a cop in the first place, how are we going to be? How do we know we're going to be a cop again? See, there has to be a first in order to be something again. You have to have been at least once before. And if we can't confirm we were this once before, or we were there, or we are this person, we can't say again. We can only say, are we becoming them? Which wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because we can't confirm them. But I'm just saying, you have to have a beginning, cause and effect. It has to have a beginning before you argue if it can happen again. It has to start at some point.
I mean, maybe we're going to get spiritual power again, and maybe the new questions of the future.
But again, you literally just said not 5 minutes ago that we have supernatural powers. You went from saying we had ancient powers in the past, like telekinesis, to everybody has supernatural powers and psychics is real, and now it's maybe we will have supernatural powers again. And it's like, bro, which is it? Did we have it and then lost it, or we never had it to begin with? I like when they say we don't understand these concepts because we're too 3D in our thinking, right? They always say that. You're thinking too much, bro. You don't understand. Coffee with Greg, has he even taken a sip of his coffee? He has. He has at least once. He did at least one time. If I'm 3D, then why are you asking for my 3D money, jackass? Thank you. Thank you. No truer words were ever spoke. Thank you. Living up to your name, academic. That is a brilliant question. Looks like his audience are paying for tons of coffee, right? Hey, coffee ain't cheap.
Won't be, are we going to destroy ourselves with nuclear weapons? But are we going to use this new knowledge, this advanced knowledge and wisdom more humanely? Are we going to cease to become, because Atlantis fell through hubris, through ego, through...
Wait, so now listen to him. He literally just said that he can't confirm Atlantis was real. Then he's saying that Atlantis was a network. And now he's back to confidently telling you how this mystical place, which he said he can't confirm, fell due to ego and hubris. How do you know this, Craig? You're not even using that advanced knowledge, Craig. Exactly, he's not. And he said, but listen, he's now going to tell you, I'm going to rewind it a little bit. He's now going to tell you it fell due to hubris and ego, but he can't confirm it was there the first time.
We're going to cease to become, because Atlantis fell through hubris, through ego, through self-importance. And we've got those same problems.
And also, he is on them shrooms, I know, right? And also, wasn't the story supposed to be that Atlantis fell into the ocean? How did they fall due to hubris? By that logic, doesn't that mean that if we become too arrogant, the sea is just going to come and sweep us up? If arrogance is the cause? His third eye is malfunctioning. If it's this easy, I'm going to go to the UK and say I'm a large medium psychic. Exactly. It is this easy. He's proving it.
Problems in the modern world, haven't we? We've got technology without morality. We've got power without humility. We've got spiritual truth being distorted and destroyed, but at the same time being rediscovered.
What the hell even is spiritual proof? I've never heard of spiritual proof. What the hell is spiritual proof? I mean, spiritual truth, my bad. Spiritual truth. What even is that? Well, how is that different from human-based truth or earthly truth? I don't understand.
Covered again by people like you who are watching shows like this. And destroyed, but at the same time being rediscovered again by people like you who are watching shows like this. So there you go. Was Atlantis real? I believe it was. Can we?
Well, yeah, you established we have psychics that aren't psychic too, Craig. We do. And also, to look at all this, for him to say, I believe it was, I mean, Greg, you went from saying that it wasn't, that it was, to maybe, to it absolutely was, back to maybe, and now you're looking at it like, was it real? I think it was. I'm struggling to keep up with this, so I don't blame you, Rosetta.
You ever pin it down archaeologically? Probably not.
Wow. Wow. You literally just after so much bullshit went from saying, we know that it's real, we can find evidence that it's real. You showed us a picture claiming it was real. And now you went on to say, I believe it's real. Can we archaeologically prove it? Probably not. You literally just told me it was. Oh God! How many mediums in the UK? Apparently, we have many mediums in the UK. Apparently, it is easy money. One told Umar Johnson he is a direct descendant of the Pharaoh Pharaohs the Great. Of course, they did. His hearsay requires him to believe what he's saying. Otherwise, he can't put 3D food in his 3D table. Exactly. Yes, Craig, please stop.
But I do feel that that ancient energy that was there is still with us to this day.
So, ancient energy. Okay, bro, listen. You're either saying you believe it's there and we can't prove it, or you're saying it was there and you know that because there's ancient energy that was there before. You can't say you don't know if something was there and then say that ancient energy was there as well, because it would have the Atlantis would have to be there for ancient energy to be there too. God damn, Craig, get some culture in you, buddy. Learn that you can't eat your cake and eat it too. Yeah, throw the tomatoes at them.
And that we will, as we move forward with our spiritual awakening, begin to rediscover some of the powers that they had from those ancient.
Again, requiring that you say for a fact they were there in order for us to rediscover. Cause and effect, Greg. It has to be there first for us to rediscover it.
Times, and it's all there. We've got clues of it, but this is why the energies are returning.
What clues? You never told us a single damn clue beyond, follow an ancient path and touch the spiritual energies that we've forgotten about. You didn't give us a damn clue.
And we can still sense them in sacred places, in ancient Egypt, in the...
Yeah. I'm a light bulb. You want me to connect? You want to plug me into the spiritual Wi-Fi? We get it, Craig.
Stones of Stonehenge, in Mahabalipuram and Arunachal and all the many places I've mentioned, and in perhaps the ancient ziggurats of Mexico and South America. And they even build the pyramids in China, buried under the ground, that were made at the massive expense and destroyed.
No, they did not build pyramids in underground China. There's ancient temples that are underground in China. That much is true, but they're not pyramids, dummy. He did a merry dance, and he calls this evidence. Exactly. Hey, the clues are there. Use your psychic powers. Yeah, right. Because we all have psychic powers, but then again, we lost it since ancient times, according to Greg too. So.
Chinese culture at its time, all resources went to build the emperor's tomb, and somehow these...
Yeah, but that's not a pyramid. The tombs and the ancient temples are not pyramids. A pyramid and a temple are two entirely different structures and purposes. They didn't mummify the emperor in China.
These things are also linked with the idea of life and death, aren't they? Because when I went...
Craig, I'm definitely passing this on. Right?
To Stonehenge, the stones there, you feel, well, they're a symbol of the death. They're where they went to connect with the dead. And maybe the same thing happened with the pyramids and so forth. And maybe the ancient.
No. First of all, study your lore, buddy. Egyptians believed that if when people died, they either got devoured, they were weighed on a scale of their heart, and that they were, devoured, and they were either devoured, their souls were either devoured, or they got to go into an afterlife if if their guilt weighed less than a feather. That's what the Egyptians believed in. Now, when you're talking about ancient Chinese people, they believed in ancestry, so they don't believe in gods or anything like that. But but a lot of them have an ancient spiritual belief in their ancestors that after they die or whatever, the ancestors watch out for them, and you're supposed to live up to them and honor them and respect them and what have you. That's what the ancient Chinese believed. So you have these two different cultures, two different civilizations, two different ideas of an afterlife, and you're trying to blend them together as if, oh, maybe they believed in that. They didn't believe in your hogwash, Greg. Thanks, academic. I appreciate that.
Atlanteans and the ancient peoples of Kumari Kandam and the other civilizations connected with the dead. But they also had
and no, they didn't really connect with the dead. I mean, ancient Egyptians didn't believe that they would actually be around in the afterlife. They believed that they would go on to a next world. That's what ancient Egyptians believed. And although ancient Chinese believed their families were watching them, right? They didn't believe that they could actually talk to them. They could ask for guidance and what have you in their own way. The ancient Chinese ancestors might have guided them, but they didn't actually communicate with them. Neither culture believed in that.
Woodhenge, which nobody goes to visit, which is where the wooden Stonehenge was, where wood is life, where people would also connect with life. So
a wooden Stonehenge. Well, if it's wooden, it's not stone, dummy. A wooden Stonehenge. Most definitely, Judge. Now I see why you're able to speak on so many topics. Thanks. I am an academic. I do my academic diligence to actually study cultures and civilizations. Something that Craig should definitely do.
People were dealing with these ancient forces of nature all those times ago. Something we've completely lost. Something that we've lost mainly because of our arrogance.
No, these were lost due to time and also the fact that humans are diverse. We're not all believing in the same things. Like my chat, I guarantee you, nobody in my chat universally agrees on this concepts of spirituality, afterlife. I don't unilaterally agree with them because I don't believe in none of this crap. People of ancient China and ancient Egyptian definitely didn't agree on an afterlife. If these ancient Atlanteans believed in such a thing, I doubt they would have agreed with either one. Diversity, Greg. Everyone has a diverse opinion depending on what you think, how you grew up, a bunch of stuff. But the reality is that you're trying to say, oh, they all must have believed in one thing and we lost it because of our arrogance. No, there's never been a universal agreement. Different cultures, different times, different history, different realms of thought. All of that exists, Greg. All of it. Greg, your psychic abilities are on vacation. Yep, exactly. A very long vacation if they ever existed at all.
Because of our refusal to look any deeper beyond materialistic science. And
well, if you're going to lecture about people not looking into it, you should have studied cultures better and actually learned how ancient people thought. This comes across to me as kind of xenophobic in a way. Not that he's saying anything necessarily negative towards him, but not that. So this is why I'm saying it's a little xenophobic, and bear with me, guys. I'm saying it's a little xenophobic because he doesn't say anything directly negative about them, but aside from the barbarian and aside from the uncivilized comment that he falsely claimed people believed, but he but he's trying to treat it as, he's talking about all these different cultures and nationalities and groups as if he studied them, as if he's really read them, and he hasn't, and he starts making up all these beliefs that these guys don't really actually have. So you're not only going to be talking about different nationalities and groups, but you're also going to mock their beliefs by not actually studying them and just putting all this bull crap that doesn't exist in there. That's xenophobic to me a little bit. His psychic abilities left him the moment he started his lecture. Exactly. I thought this was his last-ditch effort for an equal opportunity because dollars don't discriminate, right?
If we were to open these realms up again, then truly that would be when Atlantis would rise again. Anyway, there we go.
How is Atlantis going to rise again if we don't know where it was in the first place?
And thank you for joining me with these thoughts. I like to share thoughts like this also on the Patreon pages.
Of course. Now we mentioned towards the end, we're mentioning our Patreon again. Of course, Craig.
And also to an extent on the YouTube members areas. But if you become a patron, you can always, I put little videos up in which I post ideas about where I think things are.
Oh God, the fact that you post these ideas is even worse. Word of mouth is bad enough. Now you have immortalized it in writing.
Go in and then ask for your ideas, and that often inspires some.
See, no. You're on a good path here, Craig. Listen to this, guys.
Ideas about where I think things are going, and then ask for your ideas, and that often inspires some of these talks. So if you can
listen to that wording, that is a very revealing wording. He writes stuff down of what he thinks, and he writes them down. Then he asks his audience what they think. And based on what they tell him, it inspires these lectures. Think about what that reveals. That means he's getting this whole lectures he's doing about Atlantis. Somebody wrote this to him, or multiple people, if he's taking inspiration, wrote diversity things. Oh, maybe it was in the Sahara Desert. Maybe a meteorite hit in Canada. Maybe this, maybe that. Maybe a wooden Stonehenge, whatever. And he took all that data and he literally put it all there just so he could write it all down and say this will be good. And he's taking bits and pieces of it into his lecture so he can make it seem like he knows what's going on. Craig, you just don't know how to shut up, bro. You just don't know how to shut up. Yeah, that's what it is. That's it. That's what I'm getting from that. Because think about it. If someone gives you this whole spiel like this and says, hey, I post about stuff, you guys write to me, and based on what you guys write to me, it inspires me. It inspires these lectures that I'm giving you. Well, without directly saying it, he's essentially admitted that he takes what you guys say, and he literally uses it for the material for what he's saying. This is why it's all maybes and contradictory and what have you, because they're not really what he thinks or what he's saying, but it's regurgitated information that his own side has given him, and then he filters in his own little conspiracy here and there. The asteroid hit Canada, and now we have Drake and Justin Bieber. Oh my God, not Justin Bieber. Self-snitching. Essentially, that's what he did. His whole act feels less supernatural, more carefully priced performance. Exactly, Sassy. And I'm telling you, he just admitted that to us. And I'm surprised, but you'd be surprised what little somebody says and they think they're sneaking something in. If you really listen, it reveals a lot.
You come here a lot and you'd like to support the channel, please become a patron and have another look at my website. Lots going on there at the moment.
Also what this establishes is not only is he making you pay for his Patreon, but he's making you pay just so you can write up material to him that he will then use as quote unquote inspired into the lecture.
Hoping to be posting a lot more posts and ideas and ask you to interact as well. Anyway, thanks.
And we're going to hear that again, ladies and gentlemen.
And have another look at my website. Lots going on there at the moment. I hope to be posting a lot more posts and ideas and ask you.
Look at how his hands are wringing, but listen to what he says.
On there at the moment. I hope to be posting a lot more posts and ideas and ask you to interact as well. Anyway.
For you to interact as well. Think about that. I have my website and I'm posting a lot more ideas and I hope for you to interact as well. He wants people to give him ideas. This is insane to me. He wants them to give him ideas, whether it's through his Patreon, whether it's through his website. He wants you guys to write to him so he can come up with new content ideas to make shit up. How fucking scammy is that? And he wants to be paid for it. He wants to be paid for regurgitated bullshit. That's essentially what it is. That's what we're going to call it. He wants to be paid for regurgitated bullshit. Okay, so he's a psychic that needs inspiration. Yes, because the spirit realm's not working for him. He needs humans on the internet to tell him exactly what they think supernatural psychic shit is for him to have psychic ideas. That's what he's essentially told us. Wow, that's understandable. Right?
Thanks for joining me. See you again soon. Bye for now. So before we finish, guys, don't forget we've got a second channel, which I'd love you to take a look at and subscribe to. Now, while Coffee with Craig is where we look at the world events, predictions, and your life questions, the other channel is where we go into the deeper spiritual side of life. You'll find clips there from the Craig and Jane show, interviews with fascinating spiritual guests. There's lots of well-known people, Nadi experts, seekers, teachers, and people with extraordinary stories to tell. We'll also be sharing more personal films there, our travels, India, Italy, spiritual places, some behind-the-scenes moments, and conversations that don't always fit in with the Coffee with Craig show. So please do take a look. Subscribe to the channel and subscribe also here to the Coffee with Craig channel. And the two channels will work together. One for the predictions and current events, the other for the deeper spiritual journey. So the link's in the description below. Go and have a look. Subscribe to both channels and I'll see you there.
Wow. Wow, people. No. That, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was not expecting him to do that. That just reveals this is a whole network of scammers, a whole group of people working together to scam the shit out of people so they can feel special about it. Wow. Well, guys, you've been a wonderful audience as always. We've been up here for about 3 hours, so I'm going to shut it down. But you guys are a wonderful audience. Jay Williams, Sassy, Jay the Information Man, Francisca, Jay the Informant. Sorry, Jay the Informant, Rosetta, Academic, Francisca, everybody that came by. You guys are the most wonderful audience I ever have. You're a wonderful audience. I like you guys always being here. Good night, Miss Independent. Good riddance. You guys are always wonderful. I always am so grateful. You guys are what makes this a great live streaming community, and I'm always grateful for having you guys on board. I will see you all on the next one, and we might be investigating that channel just to see what we can pop up and see. Have a wonderful weekend, you guys, and good night.